Greetings, stowaways. This episode comes with a content warning for vomit, parasites, and disease. The disease in question is clearly fantastical in nature and is not based on any real-world disease, past or present. Thank you, and enjoy the show. Greetings and salutations, and welcome to Flintlocks and Fireballs, where a handful of mad actors will attempt to survive the treacherous waters of Dungeons and Dragons. I am your host and Dungeon Master Jason Phelps, and I'm joined, as ever, by Robbie, Prepare the Futtocks, Bellekom, Sam, Fondle the Futtocks, Burns.
What have I done?
And Ellie, Futtocks and Fireballs, Sparrow.
Yes. We have misnamed
Part of
the
a ship.
podcast. The name of the podcast is wrong. We should have named it that. This is much better.
Yes.
Campaign 2.
Yes.
We have talked about this in Q&As before, but the naming of this podcast came from a long A4 list where we just kept naming, increasing, like trying to come up with a name for the podcast, and one of the suggestions was just Guns and Magic.
Nope.
I think we should have named it. That's very good. It's
Yes.
a very good, high-quality podcast name.
Speaking of high-quality content, it's that time every episode where we cast our minds into the future and demand, future us, what messages from the present. It's Future Jason with messages from the present. This episode of Flintlocks and Fireballs is brought to you, as ever, by you. A massive thanks to our crew members on the Flintlocks Patreon who help keep this ship sailing. There's a wealth of extra content and bonus features for patrons, including regular blog posts, extra stories narrated by the cast, artwork, and a monthly poll for the community to help design an element to go into the game. You can check it out at patreon.com/Flintlocks and Fireballs. Link in the description. We are an affiliate of Zavvi, fine producers of nerdy garments and handy household items. Remember, you can click through the affiliate link in the description and use code FLINTLOCKS20 to take 20% off clothing and FLINTLOCKS10 to take 10% off not clothing. Once again, we're involved with the online group heist game Agent Venture, the most fun you can have on a Zoom call while keeping your shirt on. Pull off a heist, infiltrate a base, and save the world with only a laptop, an internet connection, and your socially distant friends. Check out the link in the description. And that's it for announcements this time. Back to you, Past Jason. For reasons that are too complex to get into, Ellie has very lovingly drawn a picture of a pony rowing
In a rowboat. Yes.
Brilliant.
Listen to the blooper reels. You might have a vague idea.
Depends which blooper reels are out.
We have two podcast horses. One is the podcast horse, which is the coconut horse. And one is the pony that is in the blooper reel.
Oh, there we go. Oh, I thought I had the podcast horse going.
No, you're just losing your mind.
Whoa there.
Okay. Speaking of losing our minds, it's time for us to delve into a land of fantasy and figure out why we need so much chocolate in Flintlocks
Oh, God, yeah.
and Fireballs.
No one answers.
Our land stands on the sabre's edge.
Our cities are a powder keg.
Brother chains, brother, no one's free. A life on land is short, you'll see. So gather your muskets, gather your spears, we'll plunder the shores of Calcinea. No kraken, storm or spell we fear, so come and sail with us, my dear.
Previously, on Flintlocks and Fireballs, the party have travelled northeast along the coast via Phantom Steed and Kerberos, their summoned mount, in order to investigate why exactly the 5 Points manufacturing company, or the producers of the new rifles, is not seems to have cut off all contact, especially given that they were due to make a delivery of new firearms to Newmark. So, the party head north, accompanied by Lady Grace of the Bell Founders and her bodyguard, Vivienne, and found that the town of Beer Barrel, much noted and much vaunted for its exports of beer and barrels, they have a thriving Cooper business as well, had been attacked in a raid by, apparently, a cheen on the back of griffins. It seems that the Achene were in some way responsible for some key disappearances at the manufactory as well, or as it is known by the residents, the Institute, a peculiar combination of arms manufactory and research laboratory, housing, it seems, a staff comprised of a mixture of well-armed soldiers, researchers, engineers, manufacturers, and presumably support staff as well. You have just been cleared through some questions and interrogations that you were aware of, and presumably some that you were not aware of, to help verify your identity and intent. For now, at least, you appear to have been cleared to visit the Institute. Commander Terenzal Chibalko, the Yonti abomination, not even abomination, the Yonti anathema, as he described himself, or at least, sorry, as they described themselves, the central, they described themselves as being, as what they became, being an anathema to their original people. The commander has given you a clear pass, and you are welcomed to go speak to the administrator regarding the ongoing issue, as they will presumably have more in-depth information. But you have been remanded into the care of a couple of the researchers here. Notably, one Tolo Bundlebarrow, a red-headed, freckled halfling in his middle age, bespectacled in a shirt and kilt, still working his way through an orange. Seems to be a fan of fresh fruit. And also Enya Silversmith, a dwarf woman with a currently bright orangey red hair and beard. You can tell it's blonde but dyed with henna. With fair skin, blue eyes, and wood and amber beard jewellery, as well as quite loose clothing. Both of them have respectively identified themselves to you as a chemist and an artillery specialist and engineer, although it is worth noting that Enya also appears to be a painter and a sculptor specialising in animal parts. She speaks up as you come out of the security centre, and again I sent you a map. I can put it back into the chat for you all.
Sensible.
Right. So Enya does speak up. Well, are you all cleared then?
Yes.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Would seem so.
Well, is there... I suppose there's no issue with us showing you around. Do you want a bit of a tour before you carry on your way?
Definitely give it a tour.
Yeah.
That would be
I'd love
most
a tour.
welcome, thank you.
Or,
I also have a question.
yes, of course.
What would have happened if we weren't cleared?
Then I imagine security would have escorted you out.
Escorted politely?
Provided you didn't kick up a fuss, yes?
Just curious.
Always worth checking.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose if they'd found out you were spies, it might have been a different matter or anything like that. But she shrugs.
We'd make terrible spies.
I suppose you do all stand out.
They're rubbish spies.
Yeah,
Just-
you'll learn about us very quickly. We would prefer to be a bit more direct and to the point.
No, that's...
Never once been spies.
That's fair enough. Sorry if this is insensitive, but I don't think I've actually met any tieflings since I come here. Are there any big communities here in Sunder? I don't get to go out a lot.
I
know of
have
at least
no
one.
idea.
Right.
Like, not a huge number, I don't think. But I'm not really from round here.
Oh, no, of course, by the accent. Well, you know that. No, just kind of not a common sight normally, but you certainly seem to be a strapping young sort.
I got taller recently.
Did you had a growth spurt?
You're
Yes.
about that sort of age, right? I always find
Probably.
I always find it hard. I always forget what the conversion is. You'd be what, 20? 25?
Not quite.
Right.
42.
Ha.
Let's roll roll a deception check.
This is such a pointless deception check. Oh, it's not
They're the
good
best,
either.
though.
That is a 15. It's not very
It's
good.
like there's a moment where she seems to believe it, and then no, I know it's not the conversion is. It's more like 1 to 7 or something, isn't it? But I think it doesn't matter.
You know, I spend all my time with them and probably live about the same amount of time as you-ish, and I don't know.
She shrugs cheerfully. In any case, I'm not that old. I about 94 next full circle, actually.
Fair enough. I have a question for you.
Yes.
Don't mind me asking. How did you come to be here?
Signed up. I got scouted for my work with artillery pieces.
Right.
Got to say the initial consultation is a little
Intimidating.
bit, but they were pretty straightforward with it, and honestly, I've got better accommodations here than I was getting back home.
Where was home for you?
I was doing a little bit of work in Halfland, actually.
All right.
Never been there.
No, I was from. I was working a small town near Dovetail
Right.
on the River Dove.
And how was the crate on the way here? Was that comfortable?
Oh, the last bit. She looks over with a bit of a grin at Tolo, who rolls his eyes. Ugh. I don't know about you, but I hope I never have to travel in a crate again. That was a boring day.
What did they say to you when they put you in a crate?
They were pretty
How did they sell that? I'm curious.
Pretty straightforward. Obviously, a lot of what we're doing here is, you're cleared, so you know we're very much acting against the interests of the Assyrian government. So, obviously, we've got to be on the lookout for spies, and they don't want too many people to know we're coming here, unless they try and steal our research.
Don't want to advertise your movements, I suppose.
Fair enough.
I've got to say, though, it is definitely not the most comfortable ride.
I imagine not.
Mind you, the ship was all right.
Really?
Oh, do you know they actually converted a small pool for part of it?
What?
As much ice. I don't know. Would you say it was sparkling wine or actual Vendion? I think some of it was Vendion.
Fancy. Corzin.
Very luxurious.
Corzin.
Yes.
Can we have one?
Can we put a
please?
pool on a boat?
Please.
Please. Can we have a pool?
On the ice boat.
Ice pool. Well, so we
Ice
could fix
keep
it
it cold.
so that we magicked it, and it was like a hot spring on the ice boat.
Wouldn't that just melt through the hull?
No,
That
not
would
if
be
we were
magic.
clever.
I don't actually work on boat stuff, but this ice. When you say ice boat, you mean like the ones that break through ice sheets?
No, think more
Probably.
literal.
Oh, Right, of course. I mean, she gestures to you, Celestia. Presumably, you're on the magic side of things.
Yes.
All natural philosophy where I'm concerned, no magical philosophy.
Fair enough. Very different things.
I have put the map in the chat, by the way.
Yes,
Yep,
Thank
I was
you.
looking at
Right,
it.
so, where do you want to head first?
Refectory.
Yes, we were going to head to the refectory, weren't we?
You
Why
know
not?
what? It's about time. Just think about when you arrived. You arrived pretty much dead on noon. You know what? It is actually about time for noon. So, about time for noon. It's actually about noon. It's about time for lunch.
Sorry, I'm giggling because you've written library labs on here, but you've split up the word lab, so I just saw library lab, yes. Library lab bullshit.
Again, so I'm afraid this is a pencil drawn map. I don't have one to go up with the episode.
What is time, stowaways? What are spoons? There aren't maps for a while.
So the pair of them.
It's not really needed for
No.
unless we start a huge fight here.
No. So the pair of them take you around along the gravel paths, past the sort of decorative fountain, and actually a slight route along some of the fruit, past some of the fruit trees. Tolo picks up a fallen apple, takes it as he goes. Classic halfling snacking behaviour. And they lead you a bit around some buildings, just pointing them out as they go. So that's the... Actually, Tolo was going to say. So there's the admin building. These are... Most of these here are labs. That's the clinic. We have an actual cleric as part of the staff here. Very happy
Very
about
nice.
Oh, that's good.
Right, and here we... beyond that is the main library and some of the additional lab complex. Here we are, the refectory. All right, so let's... and you can actually hear the hubbub of large numbers of people inside, and there is actually a gathering of... You can see various staff members, a mixture of black uniformed soldiers, kind of people in sort of civilian clothes with a scholarly look about them. Some people in what appear to be overalls and like mechanics type gear heading in as well. And you step into a large, spacious chamber. It's kind of built in stylistically. There's a blend between the colonial sort of pinkish red brick style, but with clearly what you would guess are pillars of the local pale, sort of palish grey sandstone, which have been cut and polished to a fine sheen in a very sort of classical Tyrian/gigantic type style. The architecture actually on most of the buildings here seems to follow these sorts of themes, especially the more scholarly ones have been designed and built with an artistic flair. And now it seems that so you actually see that there is seating here for about 400 people.
Wow.
Most of which are currently occupied because this is a main meal time, and you can see long queues of people up in front of a long dining table along one wall, where there is essentially a massive buffet in progress. You can see what appear to be several, no less than 3 roast geese, as well as just mounds of potatoes, grilled corn, various vegetables and fruits, lots of... there are thick loaves of bread and so on. There's actually, you notice, a whole section off to one side, which is just cold cuts and finger food as well. Tolo nudges you in the ribs, Corzin. That's the... they don't always cater for full halfling meal time, so they keep that one available so we can just come in and grab quick twosies whenever we need.
Oh, very smart. I was going to say, actually, these this place has its own security force. Does it also have its own fleet of ships for bringing people in?
Well, actually, one moment. They're damn it! They're nearly out of the Hongguao duck. Come with me. Let's try and grab some of that, and then I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Tello pulls you into a queue to grab some sort of heavily sauced duck, which gives you an opportunity to continue looking around and see a little bit more.
The goblins on the ship must have asked for this at some point of Bell.
They did and have.
Yep.
So you have tasted it before, at least the best Belle could do with the spices in hand.
Yep.
She had spent a bit of time talking to some of the goblin members of the crew about how to prepare it properly. Now, you do... so yes, there is actually one small separate table off to the far end where you can see... there seems to presumably be some degree of selected seating because there are spaces. But everything else is just long tables with bench seating. So doesn't seem to be a lot of rank distinction going on. Tolo points, that's for the senior staff. Head researcher, for the commandant will sometimes come and take meals there. That sort of thing.
Is there anyone up there now?
There's a... Let me see. There are a handful of people there. What look like researchers, a couple of security staff. But Tolo doesn't point anyone out to you immediately. And also it's worth noting, like much of the rest of the complex, wall art is common and beautiful. And there are
I want to see the mural.
Indeed, there are a number of alcoves where pieces of sculpture or statuary have been placed. The centre, and in fact, at this point, Enya gestures over to what looks like, it's a bit distant, and it looks to be partially complete, a huge plate of chitin. In fact, a series of plates of chitin that Corzin, you don't even need to roll a nature check for this, you recognise as Chul chitin.
Ooh.
I will point it out as such.
Right, Enya nods. That's my ongoing piece. She twitches a little. It's been a bit stuck on that one. Artistic block.
Where did you get all of that from? They aren't just sort of lying around most of the time.
No, but one of them washed up on the beach about 50 miles away, and it was up for was a bit of a, from what I understand, it was a bit of a fight.
You've usually got a fight on your hands if you've got a chul.
But some fisher folk brought it in, and it was up for auction, so I asked them to put a bid on it for materials. She twitches a little. Just seemed right, you know?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, does this look like a person who has had bad experiences with chul in the past?
At your choice. No, this is an insight check.
Insight? Okay.
Yeah.
As someone who's also had bad experience with chuls, I'm wondering. It's only an 11.
It's like, you can't tell exactly what it is, but there's clearly a strong emotional resonance with the piece.
Okay.
With the material, at least. You do get that it's not something that she's necessarily willing to talk about in the middle of the lunch queue. If it is.
Fair.
Speaking of which, you weren't able to see it for a moment because of the knot of people around it, but as they clear, you see the centerpiece of the refectory. And that is the fountain. There is a wide, circular porcelain bowl on a raised plinth in the center of the room, such that the base is around halfling waist height, with a second decorated and tiered porcelain bowl above it, and a third bowl as part of a porcelain glazed pipe that rises up from that, out of which comes a continuous fountain of warm liquid chocolate, spraying up in thick waves and then running down over the tiered bowl and onto the wider basin below, where a pool of swirling chocolate can be dipped into, with the bowls provided on a low table nearby.
Wow.
You know when you say if you've ever been to like a convention or something and they've said, "Oh, there'll be a chocolate fountain," and you get this piddling little thing with a line, which you could put like about the size of a kettle,
the size of a baby Corzin.
Yeah. No, this is the chocolate fountain you imagine when you think chocolate fountain.
Like the Vicar of Dibley chocolate fountain that she sticks like her entire head in.
Yes, you could drown probably a halfling in this.
Which incidentally looks like the best thing to do for an acting job. Like, so good.
So, yeah, at which point Taylor goes, and of course, there's the fountain.
That's fucking massive.
Jeffrey, no.
Jeffrey is already scrambling over, and you see one of the security staff who happens to be going, a tall half-orc gentleman, just sweeps down. Just going to make an attack roll. Natural 20. Grabs Jeffrey, just grabs Jeffrey by the veil cloak thing, pulls him up, walks over. Is this yours?
Yes.
Drops him in your arms, walks back to get his bowl of chocolates.
Thank you. Sorry about the... Jeffrey, now I can't do that either.
What mad bastard thought of putting chocolate in a fountain? Don't get me wrong, I love it, but I have questions.
Well,
Someone who was
my
obviously
first one
very...
being, can we get one, please?
Corzin. We'd like
I'm
to
not
put
sure
a
we
fountain
have
to
that
go with
much
our pool.
chocolate available, but I can see why they want more chocolate now. That's got to get through a fair amount in a day, hasn't it?
I mean, you'd be surprised. It's putting the... a lot. Don't get me wrong, we do go through quite a lot, but once the initial novelty wears off, I find people dip into it occasionally. It's not like the entire... First time, when we first got it working... No, that thing was dry as a bone. They had to refill it 5 times. It's all set up in a cycle, by the way. The administrator Runecarver thought it was a wild waste of resources, but it's really good for morale. We've got one of the old we've got an old-fashioned dwarf wheel in there.
Ooh. Oh. What does that mean? I don't know these things.
Well, it's a small perpetual motion machine. It's an enchanted wheel that turns with a certain amount of torque, and on its axle it just keeps turning. They're actually quite expensive and difficult to make, from what I understand. They also don't generate a lot of force. You couldn't say, like, power a ship with one, and believe me, we've thought about it.
Wouldn't that be good?
But for something like pumping a small amount, an amount of chocolate regularly around, she spreads her arms wide. Granted, there are other uses, but it's that thing of one dwarf wheel it's good, but it's not enough to say power a water mill either. You might as well just build a water wheel for the amount of power you get out.
Small fun things.
Oh yeah, that will never stop turning. It's more likely that the piping would break, which actually was one of the problems, which is why we had to get the porcelain ones made.
Ooh. Did you have a chocolate
How do you clean
disaster?
it? Does it not get all grub?
We basically once a week we have to drain. We drain the whole thing and flood it with salt water.
Ah.
The chocolate's a bit salty after that for a day, but
That sounds quite nice, honestly.
Yeah.
no, the new chef had similar ideas. Was thinking of trying to put some mint in for a day, and that was quite nice actually. We did do that, and they were talking about maybe trying to do something with something like that with a bit of salt.
What about like spices?
In fact,
Yes.
as you see there, gestures, and you can see a halfling is pushing a tray laden with foods out to the buffet tables. A very rotund halfling. Unexpectedly familiar.
What?
Middle-aged, pointed, waxed moustache, massive white toque. You recognise the shape, the silhouette of Pierre du Petit Pois, one of the
So happy he's back.
one of the chefs who not auditioned, interviewed for
Normal people call them interviews.
who interviewed for your cook position, ship's cook position.
We may have made a bad decision. No, we made the right decision, didn't we?
We did. He
Elle
would have
needed
been
her.
a nightmare,
We did.
and also somebody needed the job way more. But he would have been
Also,
the best
glad he-
kind of nightmare.
Glad he got gainful employment. I mean, but wow.
I mean, he was always gonna, wasn't
Yes, he's excellent.
No, but no, it's a. I actually quite enjoyed because I'd done a little bit of hydraulics work as well. No, I enjoyed working with the fountain, but most people don't have chocolate every day. Like once a week they'll take a dip.
Yeah.
And you say once a week they'll take a dip, it makes it sound like they'll just jump in for a little.
We had to stop people
Wallow.
doing that.
I was going to ask, is it like stored in maybe like a swimming pool arrangement where I could just go and swim?
You'd have to make it. You'd have to make it up yourself. I mean, we do actually make it up on site, from what I understand. The chef Petit Pois would know more. I don't actually make the chocolate.
So this is where your
How much
enormous
does that
supply
get
of
through a
chocolate
week?
goes.
Pretty much, yes.
Jason has been keeping us in suspense about where this enormous supply of chocolate is going. My latest theory off air was chocolate warlock.
Yeah, I just maybe
There's
there
a
was some
fucking
sort of
chocolate
giant
fountain in
creature
the
underneath.
canteen.
I assumed there was some sort of creature that needed it.
Yeah, me
underneath
too,
The
chocolate,
canteen
but
that was
like
going to eat everyone.
Yeah, but they had to placate some sort of entity with chocolate. It's literally just a chocolate fountain, you twat.
There's certain information which I gave Shamini for Ellen to reveal or not reveal, and one of them was the Commandant, and one of them was the chocolate fountain, and she chose to
Brilliant.
reveal neither.
Love it.
That's awesome. She revealed a lot of other stuff, though, to be
Yes,
fair.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, Shamini did some fucking lore drops while she was here.
Oh yeah. Miss you,
If you're
Shirley.
listening, we love you, by the way. You're excellent. We loved Ellen as well.
Yeah.
But you are able to get some honghua duck. You bring and essentially whatever else you want from and just a bit of lunch while you're here.
Yeah.
What do you think would happen if I put my head in the chocolate? Do you think I'd be able to breathe it?
Oh, hang on, we do cast water breathing on ourselves every day.
That's
so
I mean,
maybe.
yeah, I have. I did that this morning.
Is it too thick?
I don't know.
At what point does the viscosity? No, there's no way to know, Scamp.
I think you should stick your head in it and find out.
I think for science, in
I
the
think you
interest
should.
of science, since we're here.
It's alright, you can do it really quickly and I'll do the spell on you to clean it off you before anyone notices. It'll be fine.
We'll get in so much trouble.
Tolo looks over. I was considering actually halving some chocolate today, but I'm not sure that tiefling is one of the approved flavors.
That's a shame.
What if I filled a really big bowl as a test?
I mean,
You can stick your face in it, see what happens.
please use the balls. Anyway,
I
just
might have some chocolate, honestly.
grab
It's in
yourself a
fountain,
plate, fill it
novelty.
up. There's like, so long as we bring the plates back, there's not actually any problem with us just walking and eating.
Make sure I keep the cat away from the chocolate fountain.
Yeah, the cat, by the way, has been just like looking around. Stormy is just regularly abandoning you and wandering around between people's legs and seeing who will and won't pet her.
Aww.
Yeah, of course.
That's okay.
Is Lady Grace still with us?
Lady Grace is still with you and is just
Oh, dear.
quietly assessing
Listen to
everything.
us talking shit
As is
about
Viv.
putting our heads in chocolate
Viv is
fountains.
piling up a plate with bread rolls.
Viv is my kind of person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
Viv,
she's...
you're a magic type, Viv. Well, can I breathe chocolate?
With the water breathing spell?
Yeah.
Not well. What I would say is, how good are you at breathing smoke?
Not very.
It's not one of my skills.
Then you would probably feel about the same way. When I have done a little bit of diving before with water breathing spell. If you go into areas which have too much silt in the water, there you are likely to have trouble breathing.
Oh, well, that's boring.
I think it's just
It's water breathing. Like, there's...
Yeah.
If you want to try and dive into, like, a vat of alcohol or something, maybe you'll be able to breathe for a bit, with some con saves, but liquid chocolate, you don't know.
Would you get drunk if you jumped into like a giant bath full of wine with the water breathing spell?
presumably you're still metabolizing it.
Depends how much goes down your gullet as opposed to into your lungs.
The lungs
Actually,
do
Would you still absorb it
absorb
though?
No,
They're
but they would
designed to
absorb it.
absorb
They would absorb
things.
it. Also, yeah, because
You
hold on.
potentially get drunk really fast.
Actually, no, wait. The way I
Yeah.
tend to run the water breathing spell is that it's more like a barrier at the back of your throat, isn't it? Where the
Yeah.
water just like
Potentially, yeah.
stops.
So you like cough a bunch of like solids out
yeah,
occasionally.
yeah. So annoyingly, probably would just I would say that you'd still get drunk. Probably, it's the alcohol that seeps in through the soft tissue in your mouth.
Ah.
Yeah.
You'd have like a
Breathing
load of
fumes,
silt.
you get drunk super fast. So if it did go into your lungs,
This is a good point. The fumes might go. Some of the fumes may or may not go through. You've not tried swallowing anything while you've been water breathing, at least not anything solid. So, unclear is the answer.
Interesting.
Interesting.
I want to breathe wine for science. At some point.
Well, we should work here. We're
We
good at the
should.
science.
I love science. I know loads about it. She looks off into the distance. So much. So yes, such science.
Lady Grace picks a couple of take a chicken leg. Viv raises a finger, takes the chicken leg, takes a small nibble, nods. Lady Grace continues.
What happens if it actually is poisoned when you do that?
That is why I keep a bit of general antidote with me.
Oh,
Doesn't
clever.
work on everything, but it delays it's a potion which delays the effects of the poison long enough for me to get treatment.
Clever.
Ah,
No, I was
Very
just
good.
curious. I was wondering what happened in the terrible event that something was poisoned. You just keel over and that's it.
The there's the pair of them exchange a glance for a moment. That's why we have healing potions as well.
Yes. Wasn't
Very
trying to be
wise.
rude.
Makes sense.
The practice of poison tasting isn't very nice where I come from.
It can be an unfortunate necessity. The two scientists look a little uncomfortable at this. So he goes, so where do you want to go to next? Feel free to just take your food and drink and eat.
yes, I'm going to take a large plate of everything.
Yeah, you just fill up a plate. You get a few looks, but not that many looks because you see a halfling down the road who's doing exactly the same thing.
I'm going to get a
would
big
also be
bowl
behind
and
Vivienne
use
with
like...
the bread rolls.
I'm going to get breadsticks to create a wall to give me a bit more height.
Hold up, let me just see who's around. As you do that, you see there's a human woman, not dressed like the scholars, actually. She's in her 50s. She's in brown overalls, has kind of careworn, tanned features, blue eyes, brown hair under a headscarf. You can see that she has an old clay pipe that, for the moment at least, is Dow's because she's about to eat, but is tucked into a breast pocket, and is looks over as she's filling her own plate. Goes, not a bad idea. Good structural choices.
I don't suppose you're an engineer. Could you give me some tips?
Oh, I'm not an engineer. Maintenance. I do sweeping. Tully.
Ah.
You?
Oh, I'm Scamp. I'm just sort of visiting.
Right. You run into any spills or messes? Don't tell
Inevitably.
me. I'm sure I'll find them eventually.
I apologise for the monkey in advance.
Ha.
Looks over. Don't think I've ever actually seen one of those before. Jeffrey looks up.
Jeffrey, manners.
Same to you. Gives you a stout nod. Takes a plate, wanders over to a table to get something to eat. You actually get a brief glimpse of the kitchens as well, through off to one side at the back end of the refectory. As you see Pierre du Petit Pois turning and moving returning with the tray stacked with the spent sort of dishes, serving dishes. You notice that there is amongst the various equipment, interestingly, what appears to be Corzin, with your passive perception, you just see this a steam engine. You've seen them briefly in factories, sort of large furnaces that seem to power like flywheels that run looms, things like that. Because we are in the time when steam engines exist, but they're new. And you've heard about them occasionally being used in mines for water pumping, but to see one in a kitchen is surprising.
What does it appear to be doing?
It's not currently active. You just recognise the furnace layout, but it's next to some sort of large tub with some sort of apparatus or machinery that extends into it.
Is that like for churning butter?
Tolo looks over. Not quite. Helga World, as she goes by sometimes, helped built that. I did a bit of work to assist with the chemistry side. It's for turning cocoa nibs into liquor.
Oh,
What?
Oh yeah, it's for you take the cacao nibs and you grind them down into like a sort of liquid, and then they thin that out a little bit, or they add some bits and bobs. But Petit Pois knows more to make the stuff that goes into the fountain. But it's actually a lot.
That makes sense.
It's a lot of work to do by hand, so we rigged it up to a steam engine.
So there's alcohol in the fountain?
No, although I suppose you could add it. No, liquor is just the term we use for like the raw liquid dark chocolate.
Ooh, okay.
And cacao butter.
Interesting.
I understand the chemistry side of it. The actual confectionery, you need to talk to the chef.
Oh, we have before.
fascinating.
No, it's always going on about the Sulian school and the border school and all that sort of thing.
I hear they take their chocolate very, very seriously.
Yeah, it's all a new field there. I heard they're saying something about trying to figure out a way to make solid chocolate.
What?
That'll never catch on.
Nah,
What?
it's chocolate something you drink.
Solid chocolate
Yeah.
feels like a weird idea to me.
I suppose it'd be potable.
I mean, what do they do? Do they freeze it? Or
I don't know. I mean, like, I can imagine it being maybe like butter or something. Because you do get a lot of...
Oh, you could put it on toast.
yeah, I suppose you could.
Well, that's
Chocolate
about as far
toast I
as,
could get on board with.
I'm sold.
about as solid as I can think of it getting without freezing it. Anyway, so where do you want to head next?
Oh, where do we want to go?
I don't know.
you mentioned that you had some dry docks here. What sort of ships do you have?
Not actually a lot of what I work on. I know that this was very much Eurist's department. He kind of sort of gestures with his hands, oversaw the project.
I see.
You see,
Corzin doing his best to keep a straight face.
Enya leans in. Between you and me, not actually a particularly brilliant engineer. Good manager, though.
Very important.
Good at keeping people from. Well, you put too many researchers in a room, and sometimes it's like storing. She chuckles. It's like storing your sulphur next to your charcoal and your saltpeter.
Right. Too many cooks and the whole kitchen explodes. I see.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, from what I understand, Pierre de Petitpas works alone.
Probably just as well.
There's a rolling of the eyes from Tolo. He certainly seems to have whipped the kitchen staff into shape.
Very fucking has.
Don't get me wrong, we've always had good food here, but I understand there were some proper shouting matches while he was establishing dominance.
Bloody hell.
Oh, right.
Food has gotten interesting of late. But no, they've always tried to hire very world quality chefs and such here.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Honestly, I never knew that arms dealing was so much money, but I guess that's how they pay for it all.
There's a lot of people who are interested in buying arms.
Well, indeed, that's sort of. I imagine that's sort of the point. We don't get a lot of information about what's going on elsewhere, but even we know that, the fuse is reaching the powder keg, as it were.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah, things are getting a bit too interesting.
Oh, well, I suppose it's about the right time for it then. Dry docks, you wanted to see them. Why don't
Yes, that would be interesting.
Why don't we go to the dry docks and then go to the corner and then you just give us a little tour?
Oh, okay.
Good idea.
Just tour around. All right.
I'd like to see the lay of the land. I don't have a particular place in mind, but I'd
All
like
right.
to know where we
well,
are.
in which case,
If you're in
that's
the mood, you
not an
seemed in a
issue.
touring mood before.
Let's head around. We'll go out this way. It'll take us take the scenic route past the residence buildings. You see. Tolu leads you, Tolu and Enya lead you out, just snacking from their plates as they go, and just around.
Corzin has a bread roll.
So, we've got, as you can see, we've got apartment residences around. We've all got personal apartments.
Very nice.
Yeah, they're it's done on the dwarven style. So then. Some of them are more spacious than the others, but they've all got good amenities. A lot of we've got a few masons and a couple of architects on staff here who designed a lot of it.
How many people do you have here?
Hard to know the exact number. Last count, I think we've got. I want to say 350 research staff.
Quite an operation.
About 100 or so ancillary workers. So there's a bit of overlap between, say, the engineering research staff and this, but we've got machinists, we've got manufacturers. Obviously, there's maintenance staff like. Gestures backwards, you see Tully munching away on her meal, like Handyman Scourer back there, and of course there's about 100 garrison staff there at the security teams in black.
Oh right, okay.
No, it's
That's a lot of people.
yeah,
Quite an operation.
it's like a small town here.
It's pretty big.
Look, I just feel like this all the time.
Pretty much, I'd say. I mean, like every now and again, we'll get some new people come in. But by and large, it's a nice little place. We get orders through on what they change up the research projects we're working on. Well, we largely actually, I'd say we work the 6-2-2. So we've got 6 days of the week are for assigned projects. Then we do 2 days. We get 2 days and use of labs for personal research, and 2 days off. And we tend to and we're able to, within certain limits, organise our the layout of our week how we want. So a lot of people will usually do sort of 3-1-1, 3-1-1.
Interesting.
Fair enough. Do you get quite a lot of say over what you're doing, do you?
Yes. I mean, we have a spread of projects that they need people to be working on. So there's obviously a limited number to choose from there. But we get a certain amount of latitude within that. Which is why managers like Eurist are useful, project leads, that sort of thing. It's honestly, it's not a lot like it was in university. Because I actually went to the university at Dovetrig and did a bit of wrong universe. I'm going to take that out. 58-34. No, because I actually went to the universe at Dovetail. University at Dovetail.
The universe.
That's the secret. The whole universe. No. I went to the university at Dovetail for a little bit to do some studying there, and it's all a bit. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's a small town full of academics. Of course, things get a little cutthroat, budget arguments and that sort of thing.
I can imagine.
There's some pretty active efforts to avoid the tenure problem.
I don't know what that means.
There's a certain
Not
number
particularly
of
academic.
positions in our university which are tenure. Basically, once you get the job, you can't be fired without the unanimous decision of all of the other tenured professors.
Ooh,
That sounds risky.
that's problematic as fuck, isn't it?
Yes. So obviously that creates a certain amount of, I'd say a certain amount of arse fuckery, to put not to point a finer point on it.
I should start using that term more. It's excellent.
Yeah.
Arse fuckery.
And more than a bit of backstabbing as well. I spent years having my research half-inched by some fucking orc or another.
Right, yeah.
It's the standard trick. Oh, they won't take it seriously if we put. No one's going to take a paper authored by a bundle barrow seriously. We'll put your name fourth on the list, and of course, when you're quoting papers, it's always Steiner, and Orson et al.
Right. I see where this is going.
Yeah, we have a friend having that same problem right now. Oh, shit.
Anyway, the reason I came over here, when my contract's up, I am gonna take the money, do some independent research, and once the non-disclosure thing runs out 5 years after that, I am publishing under my own damn name.
Oh, can't say I blame you.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good for you. Long time though, isn't it?
Aye, well, frankly, it is, but so is the academic path. You
Does
can't
raise
be
another thing,
waiting
though.
15 years for a damn tenure opportunity to wait up, because usually it's all, dead professors' hats and that.
Right, yeah. But that does raise a question, actually. If that's how it works in a traditional academic setting, then the difference being here then is you get to work on your own stuff, but who is it who decides what the group projects are?
Those are decided by the by the head researcher and administration.
Who is the head researcher? Anyone interested?
Yeah.
Oh, she's a person. Fierce when she needs to be. That would be Professor Professor Horhace, Santiago Horhace, to Tonin, the Ferosian colony over in West Sunder. She is... I don't know the full details, but she was on the expedition.
The expedition?
There was an expedition into one of the forests near here. They were going to retrieve something. It's not really my department. I know that it was Meadmaker's project, Mindy Meadmaker. She's I've done a bit of chemistry, of like a co-project work with her, but she's a botanist, and with a bit of a background in archaeology. Had quite a lot of interest in one of the forests around here. Don't know the details. Got Juarez's interest. She asked for volunteers for an expedition. They went out. And of course the raid happened yesterday.
They've not come back. So the lead researcher's missing?
Yes.
That's not
Well,
good,
that
is
will
it?
explain why everything's slowed down.
Bugger.
Wow. Okay, no, that is a big problem.
No, it's I understand security is trying to figure out something, but I'm honestly surprised I don't know the full complement, but I'm surprised they haven't sent out a team already.
Well, from the looks of things, this is the closest thing you've got to a standing army here.
Well, normally, I understand when things like... Occasionally there'll be problems, they'll find out about spies or something, and they usually find them, snaps his fingers, pretty quickly, but whatever the mechanism is for that, I don't know. I think it's something... I think that's the magic department. Like I said, neither of us are magical philosophers. So...
Wouldn't mind having a look at the magic department. Is it a thing that's allowed, or
Yeah.
is it secret?
It's restricted, which means you need a member of the magic facility to let you in.
Maybe we can have a little chat.
Yeah.
Because
Administrator.
maybe we can help. We're surprisingly competent.
All
We have been accused of that
That's
before,
our
yes?
tagline. Surprisingly competent.
One day we're going to put adverts in the paper when
Yeah.
we've run out of things to do, and
Yeah.
that will be what it says.
Why have we never put bullshit adverts in the paper for no reason?
We
That
have
sounds
so
like
much,
enormous
but like,
fun.
Well,
okay,
actually,
at the moment
we
we're
do actually
saving for
get the paper
boats,
here.
but
Oh, do
I
you?
think that Vig might have put an advert in the New Altmark Times for a crew.
why were we not consulted in writing that advert?
I have no idea why he didn't consult us.
Okay.
We can
Because
leave.
First,
Vig, like
as
us,
soon
is
as we get
surprisingly
back-
competent at his job.
As soon as we get back, let's put things in the paper.
I feel it's less surprising that Vig is competent.
Lady Grace, who is quietly sort of taking in, looking around, studying for the most part, does add in, sometimes competence is obvious. Sometimes it requires a little effort to polish out.
And sometimes it's very, very carefully hidden.
Sometimes it's better to look less competent.
Anyway, right, as I was saying, these are so that's the residences. Since one, if you need to stay overnight or anything, I think there is a couple going. We're still waiting for people, so they'll probably be able to put you up. Over this way is the beach. Gestures.
Let's go to the beach.
There is a section of the coastline which has not been given over to the docks or the dry docks or anything, and appears to have, of all things, finely ground, possibly imported because it's a bit finer than the shale on the rest of the beaches around here. Sand. There are some artfully placed trees to provide shade.
This beach is a bit perfect.
That must have taken a while to make.
We have, yes, one of the staff's personal project is landscaping.
They're very good.
Dwarf.
That'll do it.
Where Eddie juggles. Perfection is all perfection is a lifelong pursuit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as much as nice as the beach is, over here we've got the dry docks. Now, about half of the docks are under restriction, so can't show you around because we're not part of the team working on that. If Werold were here, she probably could show you around. But you can see here. Takes in. You can see there is space for working on. You would guess probably about 3 ships total in these dry docks, because 2/3 of the dry docks are completely closed off, even from the outside. There's huge shutters that go down. They apparently take their security quite seriously with the restricted projects.
What's in there then?
Really can't say. I mostly work on artillery.
That's fair.
Are the artilleries not placed on the ships occasionally?
Absolutely, but the whole work, as far as I understand it, isn't done. They're doing something with general hull design, things like that. I do appreciate the work they're doing on this. You do notice there is a frigate in development. It's far from completion, but the hull design, the slope, the shape of it, you recognise this as a variant on the hull of the Kraken's Bane.
Of course.
Well, that one's familiar.
It is.
That one's a bit of a group project. A lot of us coming in trying to see if we can build better variations on conventional designs. Hull design was based off some work that Joris brought in, but there's a lot of other small changes as well. We're really trying to put in. I'm hoping that we can get some of the repeating. I've not yet been able to crack repeating cannon, but we are having some luck with the stationary guns.
Interesting.
No. Werold has been an absolute gestures to Tolo, Helga. Sorry, we different names, nicknames. You know how it is. So
of course.
She's really a pioneer of the repeating chamber.
Huh.
And we've been able to put it into sort of deck gun levels. We've got some actually up on the walls, so good for medium range. But the problem is getting a repeating chamber into something, on the level of a proper cannon. I've been trying to tackle with that myself. I think I'm really hitting a wall there. So I'm afraid this beauty over here won't be seeing any repeating broadsides going in.
Oof, that's a great shame.
We're having enough trouble just getting the damn rifles to repeat.
Well, I suppose the biggest problem you face is how do you stop the things from blowing up?
That has been some of the work that I've been. It's one of the things that Tolo and I actually do work on. He does the chemistry. I try and get the manufacturing down. Between you and me, he's been a right bastard.
Well, imagine with a repeating rifle that backfires. You've maybe lost a hand, but one of those things goes up. It'd take half a deck with it.
Ooh.
Yes, it's one of the reasons we're glad we have a cleric. Only person we know who can do greater rest something or other.
Yeah, I hadn't really considered that as a thing, but no, you really do need a cleric if you're doing gunpowder experiments, don't you?
Yeah.
We have a good
messy.
emergency set up. But no, that's the dry docks. Gestures in the direction of the docks and the docks. Docks are mostly kitted out for taking small supply ships rather than proper frigates. From what I understand, most of the actual supplies that we get in will dock at either, normally it'd be Newmark or Pohoi, and then a smaller ship will bring them around here to the private docks. All that's warehouses. Gestures to the warehouses. You can see some of the dock worker staff are moving the crates of cocoa, the crates marked cacao, into the warehouses. And then, of course, we've got the foundries and the factory. That's where I do most of my work. I mostly work over in the labs, trying to better chemical concentrates, that sort of thing. Whereas I tend to do a lot of actual development. That is where we make the guns. We've got a proper dwarven smithy set up, decent high temperature blast furnace. We did have one enchanter. We do have one enchanter on staff who's been working. That was a real find getting them. Got exiled from the Sternweaver family for some indiscretions, but the skills are good. We've got more than a few black sheep here, as well as people who had their academic careers frustrated. But I suppose it takes all sorts.
Yep.
Interesting place.
Also, if I were a smart recruiter, I might seek out these people.
As I understand it, that's a lot of the recruitment. I mean, you're not going to get tenured positions leaving the professors leaving their positions, are you?
No, but you are going to get a lot of. You're going to get a lot of frustrated people if they can't advance wherever they happen to be.
Wasted resources, mutters Lady Grace, who then pauses. Sorry, didn't mean to be insensitive. Rather, people who need polishing, who are not being utilised well where they are.
Yeah.
I mean, I do feel a little bit like a spade when you call me that, but you've got a point. She gives a slightly apologetic nod.
More like there's just... In some ways, there's nothing worse than a dead-end position.
That we can definitely agree on. Anyway, beyond the foundry and the factory, pretty much all labs around here. Library's pretty fantastic, but I think we've probably kept you long enough. So let's take you round to admin. Moves you, and so the pair of them bring you round to a quite nice sort of building, again in the quite colonial / classical combination style. It's worth noting that the factory building and the dry docks and docks are much less whimsically designed. They feel like some of the buildings that went up first, or possibly have had the least work done to them to face them, and are the most utilitarian in their construction.
What is W house?
Warehouse.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So you are led round to this to this building, and the pair of them lead you in. There is a neatly dressed halfling woman at a desk. We've brought the visitors to see Administrator Rune Carver. Halfling woman nods, makes a note of it, and gestures to a door down the hall behind her. Just that way.
Okay.
Right, we'll wait out here.
Thank you for the tour, by the way.
Yes, much appreciated.
It's no pleasure. It's no trouble. It's a great pleasure. I gotta say, it's quite nice to get visitors.
Yeah, do you not get a lot of new people?
We get new people, but actual visitors for security reasons, quite rare.
Yes, makes sense. Definitely.
Yeah.
A lot of the work you do here is sensitive.
Oh, extremely. I mean, I would say, if I had to make a guess, some of the work we've got is 5-10 years ahead of its time.
At least.
Interesting.
Thanks for... Yeah. Oh! And one last thing, actually, before... when you get out, I need to show you the sprinkler system.
What?
Enya points up, and you see there is a metal nozzle, in fact, a series of small metal nozzles filled with holes. We got them rigged up through the entire complex. We get a lot of fires, so we've actually. So you see over there. There's an artfully concealed sort of pull switch going down from the ceiling. We've got emergency levers like that all throughout the whole place, so that in the event of a fire, we can just pull one and it'll flood the room with water, like
It's very clever.
like candle rain.
Jeffrey.
So
Don't touch it.
what
Marjorie,
you're
keep an eye on Jeffrey.
It actually all comes from a central cistern directly above the library.
What you're telling me is that you have little pipes that can spray stuff into every room, and you also have a large amount of chocolate. Has nobody thought of this as a thing?
There are which is well, it does help that the main cistern is literally in the sort of dome at the top of the library and quite difficult to get to. There's a lot of stairs and it's locked.
You'd have to carry a lot of chocolate upstairs and through a locked door and get in a lot of
Tons of the stuff.
It would be quite an effort getting that much chocolate up there.
It'd be fun though if it happened. Also sort of awful.
Absolutely. It'd be a nightmare. Everything would be covered in chocolate.
If it's a lot of effort
Yep, that
to
sounds
get
pretty good.
the chocolate up the stairs to the dome, is it like that with the water?
Well, yes. Basically, we have to.
That's
although
somebody's
not
job.
actually. No. Actually, if it needs to happen, what we'll do is we'll take the steam engine from the kitchens. We'll rig it up to a pump system, and we pipe water straight up into the cistern at the top. But you need to
I
get
guess
out.
once it's full, it's full. You don't have to worry. It won't go horrible like chocolate would.
Exactly. It is. You do still need to get up there, unlock it, attach the pipes and everything. But once you've got that, you can then pump it up from the ground level. It's actually all under a degree of pressure as well. We got pressure. We got special weight systems set up so that once you flood an area, after it's finished, the water pressure will push it back up into the small local cisterns as well. So if need be, even if the immediate cistern directly above runs out of water, it'll get it from the main cistern. And we've actually got the pipes running down through the ground and then up into each building. It's why we don't have giant pipes like going in between each building. And that's
very
why
clever.
that's why the library cistern is higher than every other building.
Oh, so it's
did it
kind of
take
gravity assisted.
Build this
Exactly.
place.
Actually getting it all put together, it's been about a year's work. But
Impressive for a year.
you would not believe how much of an absolute beard rash it was to try and to put out fires before we had it in.
I can imagine, because you'd have to either get it from directly from the seawater, or is that another use of the lake out there?
Yes, we did originally fill it up out of the lake. That we directed a bit of freshwater stream to get in there, but we have to refill the cistern infrequently enough that it's not really been an issue. Just thank the landscaping specialist for that one.
Well, believe it. Oh,
Anyway,
right.
I've talked to you about my projects more than enough. You should go and see the administrator room carver.
It's been
That
fun,
sounds
don't worry.
so much less fun. I want to pull the lever so bad.
I wouldn't advise it, Scamp.
I
I'm
know.
Commandant Teretzal has never actually flayed anyone for doing that. But
The threat's there, though. I understand.
well, what they have done is they have suspended they have suspended privileges before for infractions like that.
What would they do for guests, you did?
I
Sack
assume
us out,
flaying's
probably.
the only option.
Must be the next one down from suspending privileges, mustn't it?
Exactly.
I think there would be some rather sharp frog marching involved, yes.
That's alright, I like frogs.
Yeah, fine.
There's a small smile from Lady Grace, who nevertheless gives you a look. We should attend to our mission.
Yeah, we should, because it sounds like some people need rescuing. And we're
Indeed.
quite good at that sometimes.
Occasionally.
You
Has
step
been known.
forward into an office. There is something familiar in the feel of this office. It is built very much along dwarven aesthetics. Stone, or at least a thin facade of stone, appears to have been imported. Quite nice stone for portions of the walls. Although much of it is facaded actually in wood, there are still a couple of decorative pillars into it. There is a set of cabinets and a lavishly appointed walnut desk, behind which there sits a dwarf. She has straight black hair and a straight beard, gold beard ornaments, golden skin, and a black suit with a gold pocket watch. Celestia, you have seen this woman in a vision.
Oh my god,
Speaking-
which one? I need help.
Speaking to Michael's advisor. His name is currently skipping my mind. The one who, essentially, as far as you're aware...
the one that was
one you
not, I
guessed.
do declare, the other one.
No, the one who... yes, the one who...
I only remember Yenna's name, and
I
Yenna
know.
was definitely
Certainly,
I do declare.
No, she, the lady who arranged, who appears to have arranged Peter van der Sar's will.
I cannot remember a
Michael's
fucking
favour.
name.
I do have her name written down. All I can remember at the moment is that it began with an M, and that's really annoying
Oh,
me.
it's so annoying.
But it
So I'm looking back through my notes.
and I know I'm in the broad sort of area for it.
Oh, I've got Mildred Millhill here, so it must be around here somewhere.
Yeah, that was
Right
around
sort
about
of
that
time.
time.
Oh, where is it? That's Oswald. It's near Oswald. It
Oh,
must
it's
be.
near Oswald. We're in the right sort of area.
Damn, what's her name?
Damn, it's completely skipping me. I'm
Stowaways,
sorry.
someone tell me. I've even
There's
got
plenty.
Runecarver written down here.
Yeah.
This is so annoying. I have everything else written down.
Yeah.
It's the one that I guessed, though. It's that one.
It
isn't
is. It is indeed the lady that you guessed, or at least the lady that you guessed is the one you have met before. One moment, I have impressively managed to completely screw up all of my digital notes.
Oh no.
No.
No, it's iPad problems. I'm not used to
Oh
using an
no,
iPad.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. And
Do
I
you need
have.
help?
I basically made the fun fact. World Anvil is is great software for keeping your notes on and for organising them. However, if you accidentally click Open New Tab in Safari, open in a new window, it will open it in a completely different window. Oh God! I did it again.
Oh
Do you want
no.
to pass that to me? What do you need?
Oh God!
You can't pass it to me because I can't look at your notes.
Yeah, you literally can't. Don't worry. Technical issues,
I've
Stowaways.
got a picture of a snail in my notes. Is that helpful?
Yes. The
Marissa.
most helpful thing.
It's
Marissa, it was Marissa.
Marissa Welkin. There we go.
God, well
Yeah.
done. That would
Well
have eaten.
played.
I don't think
Found
any of
it.
us could have
Well
moved on until we'd found that out.
So that is way back in
about
my
this
previous
snail?
notebook.
The snail.
I want to know what's
The
going on
snail
with
has
the
some very
snail.
important information. It had a speech bubble that just said, "Hello, I am a snail."
I mean, yeah.
So that's
It
the
is
law drop for this
indeed
episode.
a snail. That is the law drop for this episode. No,
Excellent.
you see,
I immediately used the message stone. This is why I wanted to know her name. I needed to know her name for this. I immediately used the message stone and say, "That's the dwarf. That's the dwarf that was talking to Marissa with all that shit before."
I acknowledge this in as surreptitious a way as I possibly can.
she
Well, I'm confused because I thought they were on the other side.
she looks up from her notes from a ledger or journal she's writing in. Caps her silver pen, little ink pen, places it down. It's actually a fountain pen, I think it would be. Welcome to the Institute.
Hello.
Hello, thank you.
I am
Thank you for having us.
Administrator Tana Runcarver.
Celestia Stardust, nice to meet you. I put a hand out to see if she bites.
She reaches up, shakes it firmly but shortly. It's done. Lady Grace, I believe you should have been expecting us. My assistants have informed me of your arrival. I assure you that we have every intention of fulfilling your order. However, there are some small issues which have come up, which are delaying our ability to deliver.
They don't sound that small. Haven't you lost your head researcher?
I see. It is true what they say about loose lips.
I don't see any sunken ships around here.
Oh.
Not yet. She folds her hands and leans forward. The matter is clearly not, Lady Grace interrupts, clearly not under control. Are your superiors aware of this? It is a small matter which need not concern them.
How worried does she look? Like,
Roll an insight check.
yes. Oh, that's terrible. That's a 10.
She appears to be calm and collected.
It's not a small matter, though, is it? They've been missing for days. Stuff going out of here is delayed. This could literally change the course of what we're doing over in Newmark. It's not a small matter.
Have
That's
you sent
bollocks.
people out looking?
We have...
If it was a small matter, as far as I understand it, you would have got them back by now, wouldn't you?
You see her
You're not lacking in security here, so what's the difference? What's happened?
set her jaw.
Sorry, we don't have a lot of time, so
Allow me to be frank.
please do.
We are here... Sorry, this is Lady Grace.
Oh.
Allow me to be frank. We are here representing the interests of the rebellion, of the independence movement. My counterparts have more than clearly gone through the benefits and issues that are likely to arrive. We should have an agreement. And timing is very critical. She seems to roll her jaw for a moment. You see her beard move. All right. Sorry. All right. The situation is difficult at present. We are currently missing key members of staff, including our diviner.
That's why you can't find them.
She nods reluctantly. Our standard practice here would be to scry on them using the scrying apparatus, and then send out a team to retrieve them.
It does seem a little bit convenient that the raid happened just as all of these vital members of staff, including the one who can find them, happen to be out on a thing. Are you worried about
It does
a
seem
leak
a little
or
bit
spies
convenient
or-
as well that all this happened to happen just as a huge shipment of arms were going to go over for a very important fight.
how's
I
she
want to read her mind.
reacting?
Can I read her mind?
You
I just want to try and read her body language.
roll a sleight of hand check because she is experienced enough to recognize spellcasting. And you're
Yeah,
going to read the
fuck
body
it, I wanna
language.
do
Insight check, please.
Are tides active?
They are not.
Can they now be active, please?
Yes.
This is a great idea in this place.
15 on sleight of hand, so not on
17. Can I add a d4 to what Celestia's doing, though?
You can.
Oh, amazing, thank you.
That's
I really
another
need one.
Because it's
Two.
below your passive perception, so you see her starting to sleight of hand.
Well, I know that she's going to do it
Yeah.
You know
Yeah,
me
you
well.
know
because
that's
it's
what she's
Celestia. I'm waiting for it to
So what does
happen.
that? How much do
So
you add?
that's +2 for Celestia's. That is a 17
17
for mine.
Okay. So that's 17 for both. Okay. One moment while I check something. They're currently distant. They're not expecting this. Would they have done this? Okay, no. I am. I'm just checking a security protocol in my
No,
head.
that is fair, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Celestia, you can... It's interesting. You can sense the presence of Administrator Runecarver's mind. She is here, but her thoughts to you sound like... They're
There's
like
interference on a
muffled.
radio, yeah.
There's interference. You're not quite sure from what. But you do. But Scamp, she looks worried, and not by you, or rather, not about you. Not directly.
So something else is worrying her.
Yeah, she's doing a good job of keeping the control, but something about what you're saying is worrying her in some way.
In a I'm guilty way, or in a there could be some truth in it way?
Well, there's going to
With
be
a s-
circumstance or consequences for me.
With a 17, you're not able to clearly discern that.
Nah. Don't think so.
But she is definitely nervous. Celestia, just for your sake. Actually, no. You can do this later. I can have you. Sorry.
What is?
Oh, it's a
fun?
knowledge check, but I will wait until someone raises it to prompt that.
Okay.
Okay.
There is, however, a pause. Things are difficult, yes. The scope of the problem is such that even if I were to send out a significant portion of my forces right now, without knowing where they are, I would not be able to find them. The Griffins, the Achene Ride, are capable of travelling as much as 80 miles in a day.
How many days has it been?
They were taken, we believe, on their way back to the Institute yesterday. This would have been yesterday morning. They were a day delayed back from their trip. I will admit we wanted to not confirm delivery until we had our key members of staff back in. However, our wall guards spotted their return in time for the raid to happen.
What kind of trip were they on? Why were all your key members of staff out at the same time?
Not all, but
All the ones important to fulfilling an order for the rebellion. All at the same time. Why? Seems like at worst an oversight, and at best, concerning.
You
The
have a
chief-
very,
Other way
very
round.
competent head of security here. Was there not anything raised about a load of key workers leaving
there
at the same time?
was. Unfortunately, the head researcher has authority on selecting her members for an expeditionary team.
I see.
To put it another way, she looks at Corzin, seeming to judge by your bearing that you're a military man. In this specific matter, she outranks me.
I see.
Bugger.
Department head.
Department head. The
Well, it must be a relief for you that we've come along then, because we can scry.
Yeah, very good at scrying, actually. Also quite good at finding people and fighting griffins, specifically. So if you want to ask for help, you could. If we can't wait for you to complete our order, we'll just come and help you do it, really.
Or we could go to your superiors. I assume you've kept them appraised of this? You see her grip tighten on the pen. What is your price? No. Allow me to offer. That seems fairer.
I'm listening.
If you are able to locate and retrieve my missing staff members, I will authorize payment. She thinks for a moment. Access to the facilities, or, she grits her teeth, an item from our artifact vault, or an additional, or cold hard cash. Of course, I could authorize perhaps 1,000 gold crowns, or its equivalent in munitions.
I look at the others.
Extra guns would make a difference.
Yes, it would. There's also... there's a number of things there that could be potentially useful, although I think in the situation we're in now...
Well, we'll have a think about it.
I mean, we'll do the thing, but we
Oh,
will
yeah.
think about what we want. But
Lady Gre-
let's say it will be in that sort of range.
Lady Grace just leans forwards, puts her hand on the desk. 2 out of 3.
I'm gonna give her inspiration.
Okay.
Yeah.
I catch her eye for a minute.
roll the d10.
I can't resist giving this person inspiration. She's so great.
I think she's
A
amazing.
fucking
I love her.
D10. 8.
I've got one.
Okay, that puts it over 30.
What class is Lady Grace?
Well, she rolled an 18 to start with, so...
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like what happens if she puts her hand on the desk and the rainbow spirit just like makes the sound louder. Like
There is a dry swallow. 2 out of 3.
Oh, thank you kindly.
Won't that be lovely?
Yes, very nice.
Very well.
We do
then.
like making friends, don't we?
Love making friends.
She cracks her knuckles. The expeditionary team went out towards... One moment. I'll tell you exactly where they went. I would tell you exactly where they went. I've possibly scrolled down too far in my notes. Here we go. The expeditionary team went to Marshall's Forest to the northeast to retrieve a sample at the discretion of the chief researcher, Horhace. They were delayed for 1 day, having been expected back on the 15th. It's now the 17th. They returned yesterday and were some distance away when their return coincided with the attack. We were able to see them being captured, but this took place beyond the range of our small arms, and most cannon is not designed for targeting aerial assailants.
Understand.
You are free to ask questions of myself or other members of staff. If you require access to restricted laboratories, I will need a convincing reason to authorize your access without the researchers relevant being present.
Understood.
Why would they take these people in particular, in your opinion? I have thoughts.
It might be that they had spotted and were following them. It might be they had realized, because of the security staff attached in some way, that they were associated with the Institute. It is most likely that they were simply a relatively unaccompanied group travelling on the road, looking of value. The raiders do and have before extracted ransoms. However, the timescale of their return is not acceptable. It can take up to a month before ransom messages arrive.
Well, we don't have a month.
No, we do not.
Is this a lie? I mean, not that bit, but does she believe that it is coincidence? And
Roll
they
an
just thought
insight
it was an
check.
opportune attack.
Can I also do one?
Roll an
Oh, come
insight check.
on!
Yep.
I'm rolling so badly on these. That's 12.
Oh, mine's not great either. And that is a 13.
Hard to tell. When she's not pissing her pants, she's a difficult woman to read.
I was to say, it still seems a bit convenient that when the rebellion is waiting on a huge order of arms, all these people who you need to make them go missing. You don't suppose the group of Yamasaw could have been under some kind of orders if they're out for
I
money?
was going to ask that.
If
I mean,
they were,
Any
I
flickers? Like any flickers from her at all?
Nothing.
Nothing.
She does say quite fiercely, if they were, I would very much like to know.
Would you now?
Okay.
it would be a useful thing to know. Although, to be honest, if I were a person who had any idea what you were doing here, and I didn't want to tip my hand in these affairs too early, then the first thing I would do is try and sequester some of the local Achene to work on my behalf, because then I have plausible deniability.
Yeah, it feels like you've got a spy.
It's a
Sorry.
really easy way to get rid of people. If these raids are an established thing, it's a pretty good cover story.
I mean, the Assyrians know you're here, don't they?
We operate under a cover as an arms manufactory licensed to produce a small number of arms for the Osirian army and sporting arms and armaments for farmers and hunters. Yes.
Okay, but we knew you were here before we were even involved in the rebellion, and we're just three random idiots who are surprisingly competent, but you know, we knew what you were doing here.
More security leaks than you think, darling.
This is all conjecture, but I don't think that there's it's without merit.
Commander Chabalko assures me that none of you are under the effects of face shifter potions.
Not today, no.
We have a way of scanning for that.
Oh, wait. Okay, I have a genuine question for you. If you were going to use a face shifter potion to try and look more inconspicuous, would you really decide to look like this?
If I wanted to impersonate perhaps high-profile members of the independence movement who are appearing in my morning paper in caricature form.
Oh, we would be in your morning paper, yeah. Again, if we're in some sort of... Why would we be coming here to get the arms that we need for the rebellion? It's no good reason, is there? I mean, you can scan us if you want, by all means. We're not under a face shifter potion.
I wanted to assure you that we take security more seriously than our, she wiggles her fingers, little truth test might have indicated.
Oh yeah, no, that much we're sure of, but you know, you still have people going hat shopping and not coming back, so assume that you have leaks.
Her eyes dart to you, Scamp, when you say that.
We met some strange guards who were not in a good way. They lost someone.
I see. On to the matter at hand. Is there any information you need from me beyond making generalized accusations about espionage?
Yes.
We need to know exactly who was taken.
Yeah,
first
who's
off.
missing? If we can get access to something that belongs to them, it'll make the scrying easier.
Very true, actually. The things, the
Pictures,
better.
if you've got them as well, is helpful. An
all
idea of the
descriptions.
local geography. Like if we're doing a scry, we're going to see. So
Yeah, a map
you
of
know.
the local area would help.
Also, the Yamasaur's general style. I mean, I know griffins are a thing, but do they use magic or bows or any information like that is helpful.
There are a number of staff portraits on one of the walls. I believe certain key members of staff are illustrated there. The leader of the expedition is Chief Researcher Professor Santiago Juarez. You have been escorted around by Ms. Silversmith, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
she will be able to identify which portrait goes with whom. In addition, our diviner, Ramirez Gonzalez Marcos. In addition, one of our lead researchers, Jurist Hullraiser, as well as 2 members of his team. One of our engineers, Helga Wereld Deep Delver. The co-leader of the expedition, Mindy Meadmaker, botanist, researcher, and Commandant Terence Sarles II, Captain Ivo North, as well as 2 other members of the security staff.
So Santiago, Ramirez, Juris, plus 2 members, Wereld, Ivo, and was it Marissa?
Mindy Meadmaker.
Where did I get Marissa from? Just look at her and see if there's anything.
Roll an insight check.
Fuck it. That's an 11. This dice is
Not
miserable.
a flinch.
Mindy. I mean, my M name's mixed up over here.
Something personal as well. If we could get into one of their rooms and just find an item that belongs to them, it will help.
It is a lot easier.
Even if it's just something that they used in the course of their duties, it doesn't have to be anything hugely personal.
Oh yeah, it can be like a hairbrush. We don't need to pry into people's business or anything. But
I will have one of the security staff acquire an object. Do you have a preference?
Not massively.
Then
Who's going to be best to scry on?
probably the chief researcher.
Yeah, the leader of the group feels logical, doesn't it?
Yes.
I will have one of the security staff acquire something.
Yeah. If they resist, might well ask you to acquire something else, because that can happen.
We are also able to provide a map of the surrounding area.
Very helpful, thank you.
Within
So, if they have,
around 50-mile radius.
if we have names, can we send to them?
I mean, technically yes. It's just whether we think that'd be useful.
Have you tried sending to them?
If you wanted to make sure that they weren't going to resist a scry.
Have you tried sending to them? That's a good question.
Have attempted to send to Chief Researcher Juarez and to Captain North.
Did you get anything back?
And?
No response. It may be that they were unconscious at time of sending. And regrettably, only one of our other majors at this time had happened to have the requisite energy remaining at the start of today to prepare to sending us.
That's
They
understandable.
knew exactly when to hit you, didn't they?
On the contrary, our other majors on staff expended their spells in an attempted defence of Beer Barrel.
What about
along
your
with the
cleric?
staff we sent out. That's a good point. Cleric should have tried as well, and he is fuck you. And is high left level as well. Okay. Sierra attempted to contact. Just make a note of this. North has attempted to contact both North and Juarez earlier today, but is reluctant to expend further use of magic in case healing is required.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair.
Unlikely to have access to a sanctum, right?
I would be surprised.
That was the picture I got.
So you wanted
Pretty
to know...
specialised bit of abjuration, isn't it?
It is, to my knowledge, very specialised and high skill.
Yeah, people usually go to university to learn to do that, don't they?
Indeed. To the best of my knowledge, from what we have learned, most of these raider groups tend to be in teams of 12 with riders, with mounts, griffins, and attack in quick lightning raids with a mixture of long glaives akin to lances and bows, though some have been using carbines as well.
Okay, good to know. Any magic?
Let me just...
As I mean, training's not the only way to get magic.
I do not know for sure. There are a number of such raider groups that operate across a wide range of territory. I have heard some are supported by Achene spellcasters. Many are not.
Alright, good to know. But the main problem here is griffins, isn't it?
Rather, it is the ability to fly, outrange, and outpace. Once you are in musket range, you are also in shortbow range.
And they have enough griffins that they carried these people off.
Each griffin is capable of capturing one hostage.
And the party's not that big.
She nods.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They have, as I have said, kidnappings and ransoms are not unknown.
How big do the ransoms tend to be?
It can vary. We would, of course, pay the ransom regardless. It is the time delays.
Time is a problem.
And
How quickly
furthermore,
do they usually come in? Like, would you expect to have got a ransom request by now?
a ransom request is delayed. There are a number of individuals amongst the colonies who trade or talk with Achene, including these raiders. A message would be passed to them and then passed back to civilization and to us. The delay could take weeks. They are hardly going to fly up and drop a note.
Might speed the process up, but I see what you're saying.
No, they want people to worry first, I suppose.
Yes, they'll pay more if they are convinced that maybe they're dead, and then suddenly they're not.
Or if it's a complex like this, they realise how annoying their life is without all of their best members of staff. Any particular territories the Yamasaur tend to favour?
I am not an expert in Yamasaur, if that is who they are, culture or regions.
What makes
I know
you say that. Everybody else seems pretty convinced they're Yamasaur. Why are you not sure?
I do not make it my business to study Achene culture. If you say this is the name of the raiders, then so be it.
Huh.
However, what I do know is that they are likely going to need somewhere to conceal their camp. Much of the area within the surrounding 80 miles or so is open plain or farmland. There are some woods some hills. You may consult the map to determine where those are.
Okay, that at least if they are in woods or hills, that'll narrow it down.
There aren't any obvious settlements in traversable distance of here that they could have been taken to.
Achene territory, as far as I understand, is several hundred miles in past Aptak.
So they'd need to have gone for several days in order to get here, and now if they're going back to anywhere, they'd need to be travelling several days in the opposite direction. This is useful things to know.
Which means they must have a base within 1 day's travel.
Exactly.
They must have somewhere they're reasonably confident they can keep people, yeah.
Yes.
Any further requests for information?
Not right now. Nothing I can think of. Anyone else got anything?
No.
Only, I mean, if you had to think of all the people you know who you know are aware of your presence here, who do you think is the most likely to be able to sequester a bunch of Achene in order to do their dirty work for them?
Simple. The Osirian Empire.
Figured.
Bit broad.
There would have to be elements within it, though, surely.
Could you be less broad?
Roll a persuasion check.
$29?
Nice.
No, more. 31, sorry.
31.
Bloody
Can't do
hell.
Very well. We are very keen on ensuring that our presence is not watched.
Mm-hmm.
We keep... She seems to hesitate for a moment, as if deciding how much information to convey, and then continues. A close eye on our would-be watchers. There is a network of informants and spies under the command of Colonel Ivo Steinsfeld, the chief intelligencer for the Osirian Empire in this region. We understand that he may have contacts within the various Achene peoples. If anyone is likely to be using Achene as cat's paws to try and learn more about us, it is likely to be him.
You see, that is very useful information.
Quite,
Don't get me wrong, it could
says Lady Grace.
could just be a raid, they do happen, but that is very good cover.
So it's incredibly fortuitous if it was just that.
Well, yeah, just for everyone you need to make the order for the rebellion go ahead to go missing on the same day. It's all just a bit good, really, isn't it?
I wouldn't put money on that happening by accident, put it that way.
No, coincidences are rarely a thing.
Any further questions?
Not at the moment.
Yeah.
Right now.
Then I would thank you to continue with your investigation outside of my office.
All right.
Make your
As you wish.
decision about which items of payment you require. If you require a viewing of the vault, I can arrange for someone to show you around.
That could potentially be helpful.
Helpful in the decision-making process, certainly.
Otherwise, if it is armaments you are looking for, we do currently have sufficient stockpile. Allow me to be blunt. All of our small arms are going to your shipment right now. But in terms of long arms, we do currently have sufficient cannon to outfit a frigate.
That could come in handy.
Could be very handy.
Meaningful look to the other two.
Right. Take a little bit of time with the decision.
Thank you. Enjoy your stay.
Have a lovely day.
She sits back
It's
down,
been a
picks up a pen, and
delight.
continues writing.
Corzin tips his hat and leaves.
There's a bit of an awkward standoff before Lady Grace and Vivienne step out as well.
Send to, not send,
Message.
to Lady Grace. We've seen her before. Might be some foul play here. I'll explain when we're somewhere safer.
You just see a nod. And it's a subtle nod. It could be just Lady Grace looking down at something.
I'm
However,
gonna message to Corzin. I hate her, 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 I hate her.
Are you doing it through the stones?
I don't think you're alone in that.
Probably, yeah.
But we should wait until we
Celestia's
can...
like midway through sending this reasonably serious sentence and just gets that.
Yep.
you head out, ready to continue your investigations and try to discover the fate of the expedition. And that's where we'll pick up after these, no doubt important, messages. Here at 5 Points, we've been supplying sporting arms to the Newmark Pohoi area for over 10 years, and we know what makes a good hunting weapon. So, whether you're out hunting elk, owlbear, or liking, rating, sharing, and subscribing to Flintlocks and Fireballs, when you go out hunting, go out with a bang. 5 Points. And welcome back. As you step out of the administrative building, Lady Grace murmurs softly, "Did you see her eyes?
What about them?
Iris is slightly too wide. Pupils slightly too wide. She's on Dream Clear. Must have taken it before we came in.
What does that mean?
What's that?
It's an alchemical preparation. She must have been worried about telepathy. Prevents your mind from being read.
Oh, that would make something make sense.
And
She
gives
has
you
heard of us then.
and gives you no dreams for the next night.
Ooh.
She's
Well, that's a
definitely ahead of us.
Does that mean that she couldn't be dreamt too?
I don't know. That sounds interesting, but
No, but I mean, if you don't have any dreams, then you probably don't show up in the dream fold, do you?
the lack of dreams is usually considered a side effect. It's a little expensive to be used for that to avoid dreams when laudanum is cheaper.
True.
I hate her. I'll be honest.
Are we in a place now where we can have a private conversation just before it?
You kind of murmur this as you're walking, although you
Yeah.
do see someone walking towards you. What appears to be one of the security officers in a black uniform and beret. A human woman, late 20s, tawny skin, black hair, and a long bob under the beret. She heads up and walks up to you and gives you a stiff salute.
I'm like a lazy bat.
Good afternoon. I'm...
Hello.
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 My name is Sylvia Culpepper, and I have been assigned to you to assist you with your investigation, insofar as it is required here in the base. I have here, takes from a coat, takes from, I guess it would be a messenger bag, 2 different items. I have I have a map here of the surrounding area,
Very
and
helpful.
we have also taken a comb, which we believe contains some hairs from the chief researcher Juarez.
Oh, fantastic.
Excellent.
All very good things. Thank you very much.
We are familiar with divination protocol.
Well, I mean, you've got a diviner.
I am also a curator and catalogue keeper of the vaults. I understand you may wish to see some of our artifacts.
Yes.
That would be
quite
helpful,
possibly,
thank you.
That would be good.
Where would you like to go first? To the divination apparatus or to the vaults?
Oh, I've got my own apparatus. They're all good.
Very good.
So maybe the vaults then.
Of course.
Wouldn't mind some sort of quiet space without other people as distractions for scrying.
That would be most helpful.
The divination space in the is actually would fulfill that role if you would like.
Oh, and of course, there's nobody in it right now, is there?
Indeed.
Yes, that would be good.
So, which would you like me to take you to first?
What do you both think?
I think let's see what we're being offered here before we start working.
Of course. This way, please. She takes you, actually, to the back, into one of the buildings next to admin. You do. Actually, sorry, this wouldn't be in one of the buildings next to admin. She takes you into the library / laboratory type area. The library is fashioned again with a very classical sort of influence, lots of columns. And portions of it does appear to be a library not unlike the one that you would see at the university in Alisant. However, instead, she leads you to the back, down a set of stairs, past the stacks. Huge bookcases on treads that you have to wheel aside. So you can very easily imagine someone getting trapped in between them if they're not careful and crushed.
Oh dear.
I want
Down.
to cast animate objects so bad.
Just crush people in the stacks.
Like literally eaten by books.
And at the until one level below that, you find that she leads you past, interestingly, a series of lead pipes that seem to run from the floor above down and into the walls in a variety of different directions.
What do they do?
I believe they are part of the sprinkler system.
Oh, yeah, I've been
Please.
hearing a lot about that.
Do not interfere with them. There is water under high pressure in them.
Oh, last thing you want around a library, I understand.
Oh, terrible.
Well, the second last thing after fire.
Yes.
Quite.
So, just over here, she leads you to a secure structure underneath the library and you can see there are built around the solid stone that's been cut out, thick brick walls further reinforced with the stone that has been cut from the area. The door more closely resembles that of a bank vault than the rest of the doors around the facility. And indeed, there is a dual key and combination system, not unlike the bank that you robbed.
Huh.
If I can ask you to please stand back a little bit.
Of course.
She takes a key, inserts it into the lock, covers the combination with her body. She rotates it, leans in, whispers something. Same design. And the vault door swings open. And as it opens, there is a hiss of gently escaping air. And you are able to see a clean, lit room by what appeared to be dwarf crystals embedded in the ceiling, with a number of polished work surfaces and a mixture of different objects sealed in glass cabinets, very obviously marked with alarm runes. One of the objects that is actually on the floor for its actually it's raised onto a very solid kind of wooden block to help support it, stands out to you immediately because you recognize it. A large circular stone platform inscribed with glyphs in gigantic.
Oh.
Hello.
There's... I see you're impressed by the collection. I can provide a basic description of what we've been able to discern about each item that you wish to inspect.
That would be
What's
lovely.
this thing? I've never seen anything like it.
Scamp, roll a charisma save as you feel a bitter taste in your tongue.
No.
I've been lying a lot, and I knew this was coming. Oh, it's decent though. That's a 23.
You bite down you just like swallow the bitter urge to tell the truth, for your tongue to tell the truth and manage it. Your words are interrupted a little bit with bit of gas there.
Yeah.
Oh, weird
worst.
sound.
Well, and also roll a deception check, please.
How many truths is that now?
That's a 19.
You have 4 remaining.
Ah.
Really,
I'm
eking
really
these
good
out.
at them sometimes.
We're not actually sure what that one is. We were, like a number of these artifacts, this was taken from a dig in the Panukan forest. We believe it is an anchor for a complex sort of spell, but unfortunately identifying spells and more advanced arcane inspection have yet to yield a confident result.
Interesting.
It is an interesting puzzle piece. She shows you around various different objects. A lot of them look maybe not so magical. In fact, she actually points out several that aren't magical but just appear to be of historical interest or value. But there are 7 other objects that stand out.
Ooh.
What appears to be a blade, about the size of a long sword, but shaped like a dagger, like if you think about the hilt to blade ratio.
Okay.
It appears to be made of quite possibly mithril from the look of it. It's not quite steel. And there is a magnificent, huge polished opal in its hilt. There is a statuette of a cat carved from red jasper, raising its paw cheerfully. It's about 3-4 inches tall. There are some fingerless
Cats
gloves.
are hanging on to my lore in here.
Oh yeah, the cat is like trying to like.
No.
You are holding onto your
Stay
pet.
here. Have cats.
Jeffrey starts going, and Marjorie goes. Ah! Pets are being restrained.
Same fingerless gloves.
Pair of fingerless gloves in red cotton. A small vial. A small vial made from what you recognise as mithril and cloudstone, and etched with complex runes are gigantic. An empty box, but Corzin can see.
Yep.
It looks as though space warps around the outline of an ordinary-sized dagger. Or short blade. Comparable to a sax.
Interesting.
Right.
But not quite of the same design.
And it's just contained within this box.
The box is just the glass security cabinet.
Oh, I see. Right.
Yeah. a hunk of slightly smoothed and polished, but kind of, it's like its raw form, rose quartz, which is glimmering. There's something glowing inside. And finally, a large orb of black stone veined with white, encircled by mithril bands and with a mithril handle. Kind of looks like an overly elaborate medicine ball.
So do you know what any of them do?
Yes, actually, we've identified a number of the magical artifacts. Which ones would you like to look at? Any ones that grab your attention?
What's the cat do?
We're not 100% sure, but if you hold it, you get a headache and then develop a series of nosebleeds for about an hour until it stops.
Ah.
We think it has a deeper purpose, but we are not sure what it is.
Any reports on feelings other than nosebleeds in it? Like,
A sort of fuzziness in the head. Frankly, no one has been willing to hold on to it for a long time to test.
Can I hold it?
I believe I am authorized to release one item, so if you end up choosing that item, absolutely. Otherwise, it may be possible for you to hold it under controlled conditions. Do you wish to... I can let you hold it for 2 minutes now if you particularly like. But it cannot leave this room.
Oh, I don't want to take it anywhere. I want to know if my nose starts bleeding.
As you wish. He leans in, and you see takes a small carved stone from her pocket, places it against the security thing, murmurs something, opens it up. Also, you just uses a small key as well. Picks up the statuette, just like wincing a little. Here you go. Scamp, you pick it up. It's fine. Oh, although actually you've kind of got like a bit of a pain behind your eyes.
Ow.
Oh. Yeah, it's like you got real tense joy.
Ow.
Roll a d6 for me.
Ow.
Why did we
Scamp.
think this would go well?
2.
2 minutes later, a trickle of blood starts flowing from Scamp's left nostril.
Scamp, I think you better put that down.
Ow.
Yeah, this feels bad. I've got a handkerchief. There you go.
Yeah.
I want it back.
You
I cover it in blood and hand it back.
I clean it with prestidigitation, so it's fine. It's the blue one.
Yeah, no,
obviously.
the blood flicks off and lands on the ground. Can I ask you to please not prestidigitate that until you are outside of an area?
I didn't think about that. Apologies.
That's all right. You wipe the blood back up and prestidigitate it when you eventually leave the building.
Yeah. I was planning on sending it out of a door or something, but...
Please do not spill prestidigitate blood into the corridors. We do have some members of staff who are familiar with simple magical tricks, and I do not wish to hear another lecture from Handyman Scourer about trying to scoop magical stains.
I understand.
Thank you.
It's okay. Apologies.
What would you like to look at next?
What do the gloves do? What do they...
You move over to take a look at them. Interestingly, the gloves, there's subtle differences, but they're not made for human or elven hands. They're too large for halfling hands as well, but they're not quite the right shape. We believe these are intended for use by Yonti, based on the... you can see the position of the wide knuckles. However, they are quite clinging, and we have observed that while worn, whatever you are gripping in your hands cannot be removed except by a decidedly extreme force. we've yet to test the upper limits of how much force can be applied before something can be torn from your hands while holding it. We suspect, frankly, we terminated the experiments after a certain point due to worries about ligaments tearing rather than the objects coming free.
Worry about the arm breaking rather
Indeed.
than... Yeah. That's interesting.
She gestures to the other objects.
What's in the vial?
Ah, yes. Here we go. She opens the case, carefully puts on some gloves while she does all this, and removes the vial, uncorking it. Well, there's like a little mithril cap, and cloudstone cap, which she unscrews. You can see there is amber liquid inside. This is particularly interesting. This, she recaps it, passes it to you to sniff if you want.
Yeah, I do so.
It's got a kind of medicinal, slightly alcoholic smell to it. This produces a single dose of a healing potion. Indefinitely.
What? That's amazing.
It takes 8 hours. It seems to be based on some form of permanent transmutation. It requires water and any sort of crumbled herb to be placed into it.
Like anything like mint.
Mint will do. We have discovered that it needs to be a plant object of some description, so I suppose grass would do. It works slightly better with less residue if it is dried and crumbled. We tried placing some whole plants in, and that left a sort of slimy residue. Does not work with meat.
Good to know.
Does it change flavour based on what you put in it?
That information has not been recorded. At least not in the notes that I am familiar with.
Like, how good is the healing potion?
Comparable to a standard healing potion produced from the... I'm trying to think, remind myself what it's called. Produced from the white saint flower. So your standard healing potion.
Yeah. That is very interesting.
That would be quite useful to have on board ship.
Indeed. Were it not for its... if we're not for the fact that we do have other healing potions in storage, this is a sort of... we have for the moment been considering this a last resort option. Unfortunately, we've no idea if it can produce anything else, but it is in its own way quite miraculous.
Never-ending
say
healing
so.
potion is a pretty good last resort as they go.
Indeed.
Yeah.
In times before the mass manufacture of healing potions, this would no doubt have been, if you'll excuse the joke, a lifesaver.
Very much so.
Very much.
Which item would you like to look at next?
Curious about that pink stone.
This. She gestures to the stone. You can see it a closer examination doesn't reveal much, but you can see that there is a light glimmering inside, a sort of pinkish yellowish light inside the rose quartz. Examination of identification has indicated that there is a spirit bound within it, such as priests are clerics are used to interacting with. We believe that it is bound to carry out tasks relating to moving earth or shaping stone.
Yeah.
It has a certain amount of strength and usually requires a day to recover.
Interesting.
There remain the 2 blades and the elaborate stone and mithril medicine ball.
I chose last time, so somebody else go.
What's in
Alright.
the box?
Yeah,
Pointed
let's have a look at this dagger.
Very perceptive. There is indeed an invisible blade inside. We believe...
Oh, I'm sorry, that was an out of character mistake. I thought
sorry.
it was just the display case was see-through.
Yeah, the display case is see-through. The dagger itself is also see-through. It's completely invisible. So only Corzin
Yeah,
can
you
see
can
it.
see it, but no one
Right. Okay.
Yeah, you see it.
In which case, I will leave
so-
that in then.
Yeah. Like, very perceptive of you. Yes, this, as far as we can tell, is a dagger. We believe from the weight and heft of it, it is made of mithril as its base material. And of course, as you can see, it is under a permanent enchantment of invisibility. This
Easy
appears
to
to be its
conceal.
only effect, but yes, it is the ultimate in concealed weaponry. It is it appears to be of appropriate size for a human or a halfling to use.
Or a Jeffrey.
Jeffrey already has one spear and one sword.
Yeah, but Jeffrey could have an invisible knife.
How often does Jeffrey use his weapons?
Jeffrey is already the
Not
second
often
most heavily
enough.
armed member of this party.
This is true. Extremely armed.
You see, by the way, Viv and Lady Grace are both just quietly taking everything in. As it seems to be they seem for the most part quite willing to hang back and observe. A mixture of observing, just seeing how you operate with some interest, and also just everything around.
It's different. We spent ages looking at people and like talking to people.
By comparison, this dagger over here, she gestures to the mithril blade with the opal set in its hilt.
Giant.
Indeed,
That
appears
makes
to have
sense.
been designed for a giant. Now, this one...
Oh, it's a big dagger rather than a sword.
Indeed, although it could be used as such. Now, one moment, she unlocks the case, pulls it open. You need to get quite close for this one. She brings her head quite close, tilts one
I
one side.
feel like we all go next to her.
You can just
Oh, definitely.
hear...
Is that singing?
There is a very soft song coming from it.
What is that?
Listening to it, Corzin, because of your studies that
Yes.
you've been doing, in no small part thanks to, I glossed over it, like I don't think I ever actually brought it up at your birthday,
No.
but I'm going to say that Felipe sent you, Felipe, sent you, gave you his personal Joven to Giant translation notes. So you've been studying them from reading Old Giant and listening to them. It appears to be singing in Old Gigantic. It is a somewhat mournful song about lost love, and you're still picking up the language. There's definitely something about falling in love with someone who doesn't love you back. They spend all their day looking into a pool at their own reflection. It sounds quite tragic.
Oh, right. Corzin will give like a brief summation of what the lyrics seem to be.
Oh, that's very interesting. Yes, we have noticed actually that music it will change its tune when music is played near it.
What?
And we it will usually
More your
echo.
department, Celestia.
It does appear to echo whatever music is played near it, and
Does
we have used it in test combat against some dummies with interesting effects. It appears to change song when wielded with intent.
Ooh. What, like it does dramatic music when you stab people?
Pretty much, yes.
Is that all it does?
We have not been... It may be that there are further elements of it that could be unlocked, but this is one of our most recent acquisitions, and we've not yet dedicated the time to fully investigate it.
I really
You've also
hope
not
that's
tested
all
it on
it
a
does.
living person.
Did someone
It's
just
amazing.
enchant their sword so that it would do dramatic music when they killed someone? Because that's hilarious.
She shrugs.
I'm trying to imagine
I'm
the
sorry,
sort
have you
of
not
person
taken
who
a
would do
moment for
that.
how funny this is? Because that's amazing.
Between you and me, I had not considered the humour of it. I quite enjoy the
If
music,
that's
even if I don't
literally all
understand.
it does, that's amazing.
But yes, this is that is humorous in a somewhat black humour sort of way.
Oh, don't get me wrong, it's also mental and quite
But no,
weird.
I
but,
can appreciate the style.
um,
Well, I heard of a
Do
wizard
you-
once
do
who
you
deliberately
mind if I-
enchanted their cloak to billow.
one of those.
Of course. Again, please do not take this out of the room.
I just want to play guitar to it and see what it does. I play. What do I play? Play a bit of Redhead Molly. Let me tell you all about Redhead.
No, that's not quite. That's not the trick. What I wanted to push there. But it's very high speed. Ding, ding, ding. So although Redhead Molly is quite high speed.
Bits of it are. So do a bit of the quick
as you
bit.
do,
Yeah.
as you do a bit of that, the gigantic singings adjust for a moment, and you hear a sort of played almost like on a sort of ancient lyre or something. Sort of ding 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 ding. Roll a performance check.
Okay.
Let's go for it.
34.
Jeez.
It's amazing.
As you kind of as you sing.
You know when a musician isn't even trying, but it's really fucking good.
Oh, it's
That's what's
yeah.
happening.
You also just start improvising and varying a little on the tune. Sylvia seems to be quite enjoying it, and as you kind of play, vary up, experiment a little, the blade, which has been echoing the tune, flips into the air, spins a pirouette,
Hello.
and then as you pause for a moment in the song, falls down again.
And then back up again.
It takes you a little bit. You manage to... You kind of go back... Nothing else happens, but then you go back and repeat some of the improvisation you did. And something in the midst of it, the blade once again leaps up, does a little pirouette.
I keep going.
Okay, you loop around that bit, and it keeps doing that little pirouette just in place.
Why that in particular?
Interesting. Well, it certainly... We know it responds to music. Maybe it responds to music in more involved ways than that. Than we had
Okay.
anticipated.
Do you direct it by music?
If so, then the precise notes or tunes required are certainly lost to the ages, or perhaps one element of it is being rediscovered.
Be careful what you play, Celestia.
Play something more mournful for a second. I just play a bit of Leave Her Johnny on the guitar.
Okay, changing tune completely, the soul settles back down and echoes it. But you, with a bit of inspiration, you kind of take the tune or some of the chords that you improvised and play them again through a more mournful sort of type thing, and this time it makes a slower. It swings up, makes a slower strike with more power, and this time it's a strike rather than a quick slash around.
This is someone
That's
who
really
fought with
fun.
music. Like someone who
Someone
stood
who
far
fought-
away and powered a sword with music. That's really interesting.
Impressive.
You play a sort of you kind of you only seem to have one move, which is pop up, attack, but varying the tune a little bit. You spend 10-20 minutes on this.
Not that.
Not that long. Probably you spend 5-10 minutes on this. You realise that there's some degree of varying the style of this chord sequence or this series of notes that allows you to direct the intensity and speed to some degree.
That's a very interesting thing.
It is.
There might have been a whole school of combat that was based around this.
Maybe. I mean, I fight with music a bit. There's no reason other people couldn't have done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I had to guess, this is clearly a secondary sidearm, so perhaps some giant sent it out, used it to fight while their hands were otherwise busy. This is remarkable. I'll need to file a report on it.
Oh, do, by all means.
For now, though, we should probably, I understand there is
Absolutely.
business to conduct.
Oh, yeah.
Also, you have one more thing to show.
Yes,
don't
of
you?
course. She takes you to the
Yeah,
large...
no, we did not spend more than 5
No,
minutes on
not
that.
spend more than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Just that I'll say that you got swept up for like 5 minutes in
Oh,
the
yeah.
excitement. But you see a large orb of black stone veined in white, encircled by mithril buttons with a mithril handle. And yes, it looks like an overly elaborate medicine ball. So this weighs around 30 pounds. Which is quite heavy.
Very heavy for something that small, yeah.
Yeah, it's basically a super dense bowling ball kind of size, is what it looks like. Maybe a little. And she goes, however, you will notice that along the handle, there are a series of glyphs in gigantic there. We've discovered that if you thumb the glyphs going left to right, and she gestures from outside of the box to demonstrate rather than opening the box up, it reduces the apparent weight of the ball. It makes it closer to the weight of, say, a cricket ball. Light enough, certainly, that it can be thrown a decent distance. Most people can manage around 60 feet or so. For 3 seconds. It's that light for 3 seconds, and then it regains its full mass.
Oh, wow. Ouch.
So if I was to be flying above a ship and chucked it up in the air,
then yes, you would, provided you were not too weighed down by the weight of it in the first place. When you, although I understand there's a certain amount of weight with the flight spell. Then yes, when you could chuck it up, drop it down, and it would gain, I suppose, a little bit of extra velocity from the additional altitude. Although I
if
suppose
it's
you
a
could
big
also
heavy
just
thing
fly
coming
it
down on a ship, that's...
Indeed.
Yeah. Potentially devastating.
You might perhaps be able to get effects. Don't get me wrong, we don't want to damage this, so we've never tried loading it into a cannon or anything.
That was immediately what I was thinking due to its size.
But yes, that is possible as well. However, it is certainly has been quite damaging when used when thrown. It regains its mass but maintains its momentum. The physicists are screaming about this one.
I can imagine.
Rather deeply upsetting to a physicist, really.
There's been a lot of screams of, where does the mass go?
Surely physicists do that a lot with magic.
You fail to understand. Some members of our physics department are magically trained. As far as I understand, I am a curator and student of archaeology myself. But as far as I understand, there are certain laws about conservation of mass. Creatures like familiars, from what I understand from their ranting and screaming, are able to fake the appearance of additional mass by filling a hollow projection of light, a sort of hologram, if you will, with kinetic force. However, they don't actually have real mass, or at least the mass that they do have is relatively limited. It is certainly not possible to just vanish mass.
Very interesting.
And yet,
Here
She
we are.
gestures to the throwing rock. It has them extremely frustrated and yet also very excited.
Sounds about right.
Now, this in here is a sanctum, innit?
Yes, this entire institute is, with the exception of the divination room, is under a sanctum.
Good to know.
And of course the sending room in the security
Yes.
facility.
No, I imagine you'd need a descending room here. Right, this is worth thinking on.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you for showing us this.
Of course. Now, in addition, I am happy to escort you to the divination room and answer any questions about the map or locations.
If you wouldn't mind,
Of
I
course.
think divination room's probably a good next port of call.
Speaking of which, she's, by this point, locks up, is leading you up and out, and you see Enya hurrying up with a bit of paper and a pencil. Got what you asked for, Sylvia. Thank you. Enya hands over a pencil sketch, you realise probably hastily sketched from the portraits on the wall, of a human woman. 1 moment, I'll give you a description. With frizzy hair held back with a green band. A quick bit of coloration has been put in to loosely hint at the that she appears to have dark brown hair, light tan skin, brown eyes, wide spectacles.
Did you do this in the last 10 minutes?
Sorry, I know it's a very rough sketch, but it should...
Really good.
Great.
This is amazing.
Thank you, I do have a bit of experience with caricatures.
That's
Really
impressive.
good.
Hopefully it'll help.
Oh, it definitely will. Thank you very much.
Thank you. If you'd accompany with us this way, please. The divination facilities in the attached laboratories over here. She leads you to a series of just nice rooms, essentially, that you can see as access from the corridor. Many of them are just workspaces. Some are set up with tools, workbenches, and the like. Others seem to be essentially just tables and chairs, quite well apportioned, books for reference and the like. But she leads you around to one room, which is windowless, lit by a dwarf crystal in the ceiling, with a bookshelf full of reference books, atlases as well, maps, and a complex array. You've seen a diviner's array before a couple of times. This one has bells on.
Oh,
There is a large circular kind of polished mirror in the center of it all, but there are numerous small lenses, focusing apparatus, bits that you don't quite understand the process of, including a number of what appear to just be crystal lozenges on stands and arms.
bloody hell.
They're not messing around, are they?
No, your diviner does not fuck about.
Marcos
Does any
is,
of that stuff
very
help?
particular. I believe it does if you are... I think a lot of it is to project the image of what is being scried, so that it doesn't, as it were, appear just in the diviner's eyeballs. But there is also magnification equipment, some things for discerning other elements as well. I do not witness it used a lot.
I'll be honest, mine is a bit simpler than this, so I don't know what half this stuff does.
I understand.
Projects what's
diviners.
being seen for other people, though. That's really useful.
Fascinating.
I understand that a lot of traveling diviners will have their own collapsible kits.
Yes, that's what mine's like.
Do you, if you have any questions for me now,
Honestly, I feel like our next questions will probably come after the divining about the surrounding area.
of course, I will give you half an hour.
Perfect, thank you.
If you could also provide us with a map of the local area up to a range of
Of course.
a couple of 100 miles, if possible.
Couple of 100 miles. I can do that. goes over to the... She has a map, but she also goes and takes out a larger map from one of the kind of reference holes, spreads it out. Okay, you can see we are here to the northeast. We've got all the way at the very edge, we've got Pohoi to the southwest, all the way over there. We have Newmark, and much further inland you can just see Aptak there as well.
Okay, gonna use my navigation tools and work out what the potential range is relative to us. And then draw a big circle around that.
Make a navigator's tool check, please.
Okay, so I am proficient with this. And I think we said that it's based on wisdom.
Yep.
So that is a +8. Okay, that is 22.
Okay, 22. So, you think for a moment about what you know, actually, about giant eagle flight, of all things. You know that giant eagles are capable of taking people 60 miles in a day, but they can't do 60 miles in a single trip. What they can do is 30 miles in a trip, and then a break, and then another 30 miles. And further, it is possible to try and get them to do more, but it would be very tiring. So, working from this logic, it occurs to you that realistically, the furthest away they could have gotten in a single day, if they came from a base to here and back, must be 40 miles. There or thereabouts. So you begin by constricting your search to the nearest 50 miles or so.
Rivers, mountains, forests, anywhere they could nest.
You do examining the maps, and they're pretty good within 50 miles or so. You do determine that most of the surrounding area is, as said, plains and farmland. Not all of it's farmland. A lot of it is open plain. But the prairie is not the best location to conceal your flock of griffins.
They're not going to want to do that. They'll go to ground somewhere if they can.
You detect 6 possible locations, in a broad sense, for where they could conceivably hide. Small copses of woods, little bits of rugged terrain, you discount. Those would be most of them are either too near settlements or too easy to spot. You are able to spot 3 groups of forests and 3 sets of hills. To the northeast, there is a large section of wood labelled Marshall's Forest. There is also a set of also a large hill labelled Montfort's Hill. To the east, as opposed to the northeast, there are just checking this.
Marshall's Forest, Montfort Hill.
Yep. To the east, there are actually a couple of ranges of hills. One marked the Red Hills, and one marked Shatterback Reach. And to the south, there are 2 distinct areas of forest: Grey Winter Woods and the Coldstream Woods, through which the River Coldstream runs.
We had Shatterback Reach before.
I'm sure.
We heard of that before.
I don't believe.
So what were the last
have.
2? I'm just trying to write this down.
Grey Winter Woods and Coldstream Woods.
Got it.
I would like to say, Ellie, that you have not heard the term Shatterback Reach before. However, a few weeks ago, I did ask you whether names like Shatterback Reach, Grey Winter Woods, and Coldstream Woods sounded like cool names.
Oh, that's what happened.
So
Nice.
potentially all of these might sound familiar because I was
That's probably what it is.
Because I was going like, are these good wood names? Are these good hill names?
Sometimes he does this like weeks in advance with no context for something, and he's just like, "What does this name make you think of?" or whatever.
No, I can confirm that none of you have heard of Shatterback Reach before, except
For
possibly
me. Yeah.
except possibly glancing at like maps or anything.
Fair do.
That makes sense.
All of them are within a 30 to 40 mile range.
Okay.
Okay, well, those are our starting choices. I should get on with this then, really, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
Well, determining that first should help us.
Yeah, if you can have a look at, see if there's any landmarks that you would be able to spot from these places.
It's a good point. With the check that you've already made, you would be able to spot. There is a lot of most of these are actually quite isolated. However, you would be able to spot a colonial settlement near from the edges of the Coldstream Woods. It would be within the sort of like horizon, eye reach of the horizon, which is appropriately named Coldwater. And that you would also be able to spot a settlement called Reedville from the Red Hills.
Okay.
So look for those, if you can.
Yes. Right, anything else we can think of before I pop away for a bit?
Not at the moment.
I guess the only thing to keep your eye out for is anything that would mark this out as a potential place of safety that would be visible from the air, because that's got to be how they're choosing this. So it would have to be something that was big and could be seen from above.
You have a point. Right.
Unfortunately, your maps are not detailed enough for you to know that just by looking.
Yeah, but it could help us to narrow some stuff down later.
It could. Okay. So, it's rare that we actually do a live scry on someone.
Yeah. I think I will do a live one as well. 'Cause
Yeah,
I will
absolutely.
know where they are.
I'm actually going to have to remind myself what all the negatives to
What
resisting
is their
We got a live
name?
one.
Sorry?
What's their name again?
Their name is Professor Santiago Juarez.
Yeah. I've written all the names down next to each other with no distinguishing features on
Yeah,
any
me
of them,
too.
So thank you. I haven't written, this is this person. I've just written
Head
all the
researcher.
names with no context,
Professor. Yeah.
which is my favourite way to take D&D notes.
Ha.
Wonky and without context.
Oh yeah, this is like... Yeah, you've only heard of the target, which is a +5 to their save, but you also have a -10 from just... You have a minus... They have like a -16 from the fact that you have a likeness and a possession and a body part.
Yeah.
Fair.
Some of their hair...
I suppose, yeah, it is.
Hair
It is
counts as a body
part.
part for the purposes of this. So
Surprisingly competent.
they have a -11 to their save if they try to resist.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just turned to Lady Grace and... Oh my god, what's her name? I forgot.
Vivian.
Lady Grace and Vivian. You could just keep quiet about the weirdness of my scrying apparatus. That would be good.
Of course.
I'll tell you about it sometime, but it's not the moment.
Viv leans against the wall, folds her arms, just watches contently. Lady Grace stands and watches as you take out the eye.
I sit on the floor. I disregard all the fancy
Yeah.
scrying shit and just sit on the floor in a
There
corner.
is actually a little chair and desk arrangement by
I'll
the
do
scrying
that
if you want to
then.
use that. So
Yeah.
you just set it you basically just set it on the scrying mirror and twist it, or on the table in front of it.
Alright, see you in a bit. I spin it. Show me Professor Santiago Juarez.
And then for the next 10 minutes, Celestia just stares.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Huh. I am used to more spellcasting and different equipment.
Takes all sorts, I suppose.
Yep.
So, how did you find out about the new hot dogs? Sorry, no. So, how did you? So, you've tried some of the wieners, yes?
Yeah.
Start having a conversation about like Warburtittle's wieners for the next 10
I
minutes.
don't trust this room to not have someone listening, so I don't think we're going to say much more.
Yeah.
Do you talk about the? Do you accept the offer to talk about hot dogs?
Yeah, if we're talking about
yes.
Warburtittle's wieners. Like,
Yeah, you
we're
just talk
Great
about
enthusiasm and detail.
Celestia,
I really hope there's someone spying.
all of this passes you by as you plunge down. A bubble floats up to you. You see a human woman, dark brown frizzy hair. Held back, you can tell normally quite neatly by a green headband, but the headband is a little ajar, her hair a little out of place. She has light tan skin, brown eyes behind wide spectacles, one of which is cracked. She's wearing a brown travel coat, a white shirt with a green waistcoat, a beige skirt and well-worn leather boots. She is also shivering and looks kind of a little bit out of it. Like she can't, like she looks honestly ill. Little pale, little blue at the gills, as it were. A little bit pale and uncomfortable.
Eye baggy and sad, yeah.
This is probably the reason she wasn't giving any reasonable sendings back as well. You can see that she is one of a number of people, some of whom look healthier than others. There is, not far from her, what appears to be a 4'2" dwarf. Roll a perception check, please.
Oh god, mate. I believe that's a 9.
A 4'2" dwarf with deep tan skin, a huge black beard and a plain steel beard ring, a black travel coat with dwarven pattern stitching, and space and sort of like holsters for weapons, which are currently not about him. He does not seem as sick as the lady next to him, as Professor Horhace, but definitely does look, but is kind of has lidded eyes. Just seems to have the look of someone waiting, maybe trying to half fake sleep, and just like kind of trying to keep an eye on things, or half fake dozing. There are I think about 10 total. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 10. 11 figures you can see in total. There are a couple of dwarves, 3 halflings, and an orc, and 2 humans. One of the dwarves you recognise. 3 dwarves, I suppose it would be, to your eyes. So one of the dwarves you recognise. He looks not unlike how he was when you saw him last. Jurist Horhace, middle-aged, dark skin, long black hair in traditional braids, beard usually carefully combed, and probably usually kept in. You remember him wearing a silver and gold beard ring, but that appears to have been taken, probably for its value. He's wearing a dwarven travel coat in deep burgundy with a pink pale shirt below it and an aubergine-coloured sash across his chest. You can see that his belt is missing, but you remember a silver and gold belt that matched the beard ring.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see tan marks where 3 rings have been taken from his fingers. He is also coughing, shivering. You can see flecks, interestingly, of blue around his lips, like blue spittle, like a kind of bright indigo spittle. And he's like, ugh, ugh. In fact, you notice that there are actually bluish dried stains on the walls and on the floor here, which I'll describe in a moment. You actually see him and vomit just like a tiny bit of blue, like indigo fluid.
Weird.
Very weird.
There is another dwarf who you don't recognise, Celestia. Female dwarf, late middle-aged, fair lined skin, long silver hair, shaved at the sides, swept and the central sort of portion swept back behind her head, with a combed silver beard, and you can see from the untangling, probably beard ornaments have been taken from it. She's wearing a dark grey dwarven travel coat with a rich blue knot stitching, royal blue neck scarf beneath the beard, a tan shirt and trousers, and black boots and gloves. You can see there is a holster for a weapon, which has been taken. Yeah, I say. Sorry. So right. Hold it together, Eurist. Hold it together.
Are they, like, restrained in any way?
Like,
are they tied up, or...?
They are all restrained, yes. They appear to be tied by rope to essentially tied, like their hands bound and tied to wooden supports in the walls. What appear to be mine supports, actually. You've seen enough mines in your years. Wooden timbers have been used to prop up what appears to be an at least partially artificial tunnel. You can see the old marks of picks used to carve out what appears to be a reddish sort of stone. There is a bit of light that seems to be filtering in from somewhere, but it's kind of the passageway turns sort of a corner, so it's all quite second-hand light.
And I can't go very far.
You can't really leave where the Professor Horhace is. Other notes, you see there are 3 other people. Let's see, you see some halflings, including one with in her 40s, brunette hair and pigtails, dark skin, brown eyes, and a yellow gingham dress, actually, underneath a tan travel coat. She is pulled off to one corner, eyes twitching, as if halfway between worry about looking at the people around her and trying to think intensely. And you can also see, of the 3 figures in security uniforms, two are human, and there is also an orc, middle-aged, bald with prominent tusks, grey-yellow skin and thinning blonde eyebrows. You can see places where weapons have been taken from his black uniform and his grey uniform and travel coat. He also seems to be studying the situation as if thinking for methods of escape. There is an 11th person, though. At the far end of this area, they're not restrained, but they are like in a corner, shivering, and clearly unwell, is a bright blue Achene with bluish yellow feathers for hair and violet eyes.
No one we've met before?
Doesn't seem to be anyone you recognise.
Okay.
Looking around, yeah, that is pretty much what you see. If there's more information you want to try and figure out or inspect, ask me about specifics.
Wereald or Weregeld. I think I have seen her before in a vision.
You have, actually, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, then you recognise the silver-haired dwarf woman next to Eurist as Helga Wereald Deep Delver.
How sick is she?
She does not appear to be sick. However,
Okay. But Eurist
Eurist,
super is, yeah.
Eurist, probably Santiago, Juarez, and 2 of the halflings, 2 of the soldiers are all showing varying signs. Some are just shivering and sweating. Some have blue froth around their mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Some are showing violet rings around the edges of their eyes.
Like, that aren't eye bags.
Like, no, they're irises. The edges of them are going violet.
Oh, that's weird. Yeah, just... I would say, obviously a mine. Obviously redstone.
Like a reddish-orangish stone, yeah.
Yeah. Are any of them talking to each other? Like, any conversation going on? Or is everyone sort of quiet and tense?
Give me a perception check.
Okay. 20. Not natural, but...
Okay. The prisoners, if that is what they are, you assume, are keeping quiet for the most part. You do hear voices coming from, echoing down the down the cavern. They are speaking. There are quick turns of. Sorry, just checking my notes here. Sorry, need to double check my notes here.
It's okay.
Right, is it? What a note ne? Nante kachet noba. Nante sata hoviodone. Nabato. Namba. Cha. Neaka. Neaka yatun. This, you don't really speak Achene.
No.
But, I suppose roll an insight check.
For tone, yeah.
Yeah.
That is actually a natural 20.
Okay.
Nice.
Achene tone is hard to read because it is, it's almost an atonal language. Emotional inflection isn't often as conveyed in the same way. So you're kind of like going through a barrier, but you have spent enough time. You did spend a fair bit of time with Odinone. You were able to pick up, if not a gist of what they're saying, then a gist of their emotional state. They seem concerned. One of them is angry. You're able to work out from repeated word names that there is 2 people talking. A female Achene who seems to be Yotun Elianeda. Sorry. Yeah, Elianeda. And someone called Hoviodone. He seems to be male. There appears to be a status difference between them, but it's a close. But they are closely ranked, if there is.
Okay.
You get the feeling that Hoviodone is nominally subordinate to Eleoneda, but feels that he can pull his weight a little, and certainly that he can speak back to her. They seem to be. I'd say that Eleoneda is angrier, and definitely seems to have more concerns about. You would guess from you see like shadows in the light for a moment of people gesturing, probably the people in this cavern or in this tunnel. You hear bird song faintly.
Okay, so they're not that far away Like, they're not really far down or anything.
Not really, really far down. You can hear just a your very faint bird song. And I'm trying to think about this. You've got sight and smell sight and sound as sensors. And at one point you hear Hoviadone mention the name Steinsveld, and Eleonada gets especially angry about that.
That answers some questions, doesn't it? Literally talking about Colonel Steinsveld.
With that not being able to speak the language, though, that is as much as you can get.
Yeah, I mean, a mention of Colonel Steinsveld is pretty big, though.
Yeah. Just natural 20.
Yeah, it is a good natural
Yeah.
20. I'm not
You
complaining.
emerge from your vision.
I tell them everything. I'm not gonna.
That's why I like the weeders. Oh, you're back.
Yes. Do we want to talk about
Find
this
anything?
here, or do we want to talk about it somewhere else?
We should talk about it somewhere that is within the sanctum. Come on.
Yes, but still somewhere private.
A little bit private.
Is there a spare room we can go to, like in the residential block, maybe?
We could perhaps prevail upon one of your new friends.
Probably could.
Oh, I'm so suspicious. I don't trust anything here.
Too.
What about the halfling with the kilt? Tolo?
I don't trust the people who run this place to not be listening in on the people who work here.
Then I might suggest the beach and... Viv, you could put up a privacy ward?
That sounds
Actually,
like a
that
very
doesn't
good
sound like
idea.
a bad idea. Let's do that.
Thank
You head
you.
out to... and take a sit down on the beach. The dramatic beach.
The beach of drama.
You take a sit down on the beach next to the gently lapping waves, and there is a bit of a moment of pause and thought while Viv casts the modified silence spell.
I tell them everything.
You tell them
I
everything.
leave nothing out, so I'm not going to retell it as a story.
Alright, so Steinsveld was mentioned by name. We don't necessarily know what their relationship is, but we know that...
Bit of
They're
a
at
fucking
least-
coincidence, though, isn't it?
Yeah, they're at least
Why
known
else
to
would
each
they be
other.
talking about Steinsveld?
I can't think of any reason unless that he was a factor in their plans somehow.
Yeah. So we know that. That's good to know.
Have you heard of anything that makes people vomit blue, Corzin? You're a medic.
Now, that is an interesting thing. Have I, indeed?
Roll a medicine check.
Medicine, okay.
Or indigo, I guess, for being precise.
Okay, that is a 21 on the medicine.
Okay.
Blue? No. I mean, like, short of people, like, trying to drink blue dye and things like that, it definitely sounds like... There's definitely some, like, from what's going on, it sounds... It's very obviously a disease.
Yeah.
Probably with a bright blue thing like that, your guess would probably be... something, obviously something exotic, maybe maybe like an intestinal parasite or something like that, that might be secreting a blue bile, or you're not really sure. If it is, you have heard of creatures like that kind of lay their eggs, usually in poop to get spread through the water supply, but conceivably maybe like through vomit or something like that.
Alright, well, it's not much to go on, but...
Yeah, I'm going to content warn this one for vomit.
Also, parasites.
Yeah,
like,
vomit,
ooh,
parasites, disease, the lot.
Grim. Yeah.
Alright, the only thing I could think of would... It'd have to be something obviously native to this continent, but, is it possible they, intentionally introduced something into their system, not like poison, but with the similar effect to poison, to incapacitate them. Did you mention that they were like? Could you describe what their other symptoms were?
I do.
Sweating, shivering, a slight a slight bluish tint to the skin, maybe.
Yeah, and like around the irises.
And around the irises starts to go violet.
A couple of people coughing a bit when
yeah, it's like,
this...
but like a coughing, less like coughing with a cold, and more like they were like sort of vomit.
Oh,
coughing.
like pretty sick coughing.
This sounds a little bit like, I mean, wrong colour, but it sounds a bit like jaundice. Like it's something shutting their internal organs down.
Like blue jaundice. It wasn't like a colour that the body makes, though.
No, blue is not usually a colour you go when you're healthy.
Was it on anything else? Or was it like, was there
That's
any...
a good point.
You said there were some
just
stains.
There were stains which looked like vomit spray stains to a degree. The other colours in the room, in the chamber, were mostly the reddish orange of the walls and the local stone around there. Most of this area would actually be sandstony.
All right. Well, maybe we should see if there's any. I mean, long shot, but if they've done a geological survey, we might be able to tell or narrow it down what direction they went in by the colour of the stone.
You did get a high perception actually at one point, so I will say you also saw what seemed. I will say, because your initial perception was a 9. But then you later rolled quite well listening.
Yeah.
So I will say that you did actually notice one other thing, which I neglected to mention. You kind of dismissed it up until now, but there was a small fragment of, like a broken piece of glass, you think it was? Like slightly curved, broken piece of glass, which did have a little bit of blue residue on it.
And like, where was it in relation to
just like tossed into one corner, like it'd been forgotten.
There was this like glass bit in the corner that was that kind of colour. Could that be relevant?
Could be. It's definitely some kind of poison or chemical agent then. Nothing magic as far as I could tell.
Blue
from
could
what
be
you described.
magic.
I mean, it could be, but...
Well, but like gnomish brandy's blue.
It would be impossible to know without casting a detect magic spell nearby.
Well, let's get there and figure it out. But maybe we should take some sort of like medicine stuff with us, with the thought that maybe they're ill.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there might be some medical supplies. I mean, I'm sure we could nick some stuff, and I mean, Corzin, you'll know what to do with it.
I've got some stuff in my my kit for that, but if we can get something that specifically counteracts most known poisons, there was mention earlier of something that did that.
We should let the cleric know
I do
what
have
we know.
a dose of a potion that will suppress the effects of poison for a time. I do not know how well it would work on diseases.
Also, while we've got the resources of this place at least partially open to us, we might do worse than to actually ask if anyone else knows about this sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because there's almost certainly someone who knows more about the flora and fauna of this continent than we do.
Well, they've got a lab, haven't they?
Yeah.
Yep.
I worry
They've
that
also
all the
got
best...
a cleric who's treated a lot of folks for stupid things, I'm sure.
Very true. Might be worth asking the cleric. I also worry that all the best people for that kind of information are in that room throwing up blue.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they've
Maybe
got
if
like
we
the
just
botanist and that,
warn-
haven't they?
If we want that cleric to maybe have some disease and poison curing stuff ready to go when they get back.
I think at
Yeah.
the very least that's sensible, yes.
Makes sense why the professor wasn't sending though. She wasn't looking good.
I wonder if it suppresses, like, magic or anything at all.
Maybe.
Exceedingly useful if it does, but I don't know of anything that can do that.
Well, just because they've got a mage with them who's not doing anything particularly.
Well,
Incidentally,
Did you see any mage rings or the like?
Oh, they'd have taken them off, wouldn't they? Other people need stuff, don't they?
yeah.
Plus the
Nobody
fact
had
one of
mage
the
rings on.
one of the side effects of this thing is to just generally incapacitate people.
Incidentally,
Well, we need to find them. That's the priority.
I look at Scamp. Wereald's all right now.
Thank you. I
Alright.
didn't want to ask, really. No.
No, I know. That's why I said.
Oh,
But
Alright, let's-
not sick right now.
I don't think she'll remember me, really. It's been a long time.
You're pretty memorable.
Yeah, but I'm also not the same person I was. In a lot of
True, but I
ways.
mean, how many other tieflings were there that she's likely to have seen if she lived most of her life in Squirrel's Cove?
I don't know. I just...
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're here.
Of course.
Thanks.
If you want to talk about it, or if you want support in anything.
Oh,
just let
I
us
so
know.
don't at the moment. I'm trying to be practical and sensible because I don't know what I'm feeling.
We don't need to.
A lot of things.
It's not a terrible way of dealing with it, but yeah.
One foot in front
Just-
of the other is not a bad strategy for right now.
With that
Yeah.
in mind,
You're
we
not
should
alone.
determine where we are looking to go.
Yeah.
We have identified 6 possible locations. We need some way of stripping that number down.
I mean, somebody must
Right.
know if there's a mine. Surely. Surely
Yes.
somebody will know if there's a fucking mine.
There's gonna be like the landscapers. There's gonna be geography, rock people.
So,
And,
geologists.
That's the one.
Yeah, we must have geologists. And
Geomet-
it's not a very far
geometrist,
down
geom-
mine. I could hear birds.
Okay.
Right. So we need to work out if there are any mines in the vicinity of the 6 places we've narrowed it down.
Yeah, where was our nice guide person gone?
There is actually a. As you say this, you do notice that your shadows, Sylvia Culpepper, is coming out of the library. There you are. Sorry, I lost track of you. I was expecting to find you in the divination room.
Oh, sorry, we needed some air.
No,
Yeah.
I understand. Have you had much success?
We think
yes.
so, although we could do with some more information.
Of course. How can I help?
Do you know where... Oh, you go, Corzin, sorry.
I was going to say, do you know if there are any mines either used or disused within about 40 miles of here?
Not too deep.
They're
Redstone.
redstone. I mean, it sounds like an iron mine.
Would make sense.
I believe there are a couple of mines in the general vicinity, but no active ones. There might be some people in town who have experience. We could ask for someone to come to the gate who might know, and you could go and speak to them there.
Yeah, inactive is more likely because they've got to presumably hide giant birds down there. Or in the
To my
vicinity, at least.
knowledge, there are no mines. Do you mind if I ask about? We believe they're either in some hills or woods. Well, there are no mining operations in the woods near here. That much I'm sure of.
Okay, so not in woods. That narrows it down.
Right.
But that, halves our options, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Very
so
much.
Red Hills, Shatterback Reach, or Montfort. Montfort Hill. Yeah.
I can certainly arrange to send someone out and see if they can find a local with experience.
If you wouldn't
That'd be
mind,
great.
that would be cracking.
She nods.
Thank
Do you
you.
require any further information from me, or shall I head off and do that now?
Actually, yes. I don't suppose there are any, I don't know, local weird diseases going around, are there?
There are always the possibility of diseases, even things like the flu and so on.
Specifically weird vomity ones that make you throw up blue stuff.
She thinks for a moment.
Fever,
No. There's a moment where she purses her lips.
what is it?
Well, not that I know of. The doctor would know more, but I did overhear Mindy talking. She and I sometimes work together on investigative archaeology. The gigantic ruins are a shared specialty between us. I work security and research.
Huh.
Came for research, but I have martial experience. Anyway, she was talking about a particular fungus isolated in the woods somewhere. And the chief researcher was very excited about some of her results, the information. Once the information that she'd found, we were doing a comparative study of collected oral histories. Then Professor Juarez immediately authorized this expedition. She normally gets this excited for about new weapons development.
Ah, okay.
So, unfortunately, I don't know the precise details, but it is possible that they were sent to retrieve something.
Oh dear.
Okay.
Well,
The
we better
possibility they've
ask,
got on the
hadn't
wrong end
we?
of it. What was that?
We should ask about this.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah. No stone unturned.
Mindy would definitely be the one to talk to. This is her project.
Isn't Mindy? she's good-
Yes,
yeah.
unfortunately.
Anyone who was working with her? I mean, surely everyone's not gone, are they?
I believe she took both of her research assistants with her.
Ah, balls.
Um,
Might be worth sending. Some of them were a bit more.
Does anyone have any notes we could look through?
That could help.
I can certainly do my best to put in a request and see if I can have someone find Mindy's notes. With some of, depending on how sensitive it is, I don't know, some of them might have been put in the head researcher's personal files, which I don't have access to. But I can certainly send someone to investigate,
Okay.
see what we can draw.
Okay.
Really might be worth sending, though.
Yeah.
Oh, it seems like the head researcher, she's, quite ill.
That would explain why the sendings didn't.
Well, if you're in quite a nasty fever, probably all.
What about Captain Ivo? He's a bald orcish gentleman. You do remember seeing a bald orc. He seemed to be very focused on figuring out a way to escape.
Ivo?
Sorry, not Captain Ivo. It's not that. Oh, it
gonna
is actually
say.
Ivo. Ivo North. Captain Ivo North.
Okay.
It's a very common orcish name. I realise I put two orcs.
Two Ivos.
two orcs called Ivo.
Okay, it's a common name.
It's like, Dave, you say.
Yeah, Captain Ivo was one of the ones that was looking thinky, wasn't he?
Yes.
Could try
Captain
him.
North, let's call him.
Yeah, Captain North. Could try him. What do you think?
Worth a try, I think.
Yeah, I think it probably is.
All right. What do we need to know? We need to know what's going on with the blue stuff. We need to know where they are, if he has any knowledge.
Attempting rescue, any assistance appreciated.
Basically, but is there anything else specific we want to ask other than where are you and what's going on with the VOM?
Do they know where they're being taken ultimately?
Yeah, any goals they might have overheard. Frankly, I doubt many of them speak a Cheen.
No,
there
but
is
it
one
could
Cheen
be
in there with them, but
Who's that?
I don't know.
Could it
That's
possibly have been a guide like Odonani was ours?
Potentially. Or it could be one of the Yamasor. Who's also, got a dose of whatever this blue stuff is. I don't know.
That's true. If it's something then that they weren't intending, that changes how they're likely to respond to it. It may mean that we have the advantage on them in terms of reaction times.
Yeah, whether it's an accident or not makes a big difference.
If it's incapacitating the captors as badly as it is the captives, it's going to seriously affect how easily they can move.
Mm-hmm.
While you're discussing
don't know
this,
it
Sylvia
is,
goes
do we?
to reduce errands.
Cool. Right, shall I send then?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, you return to the dividing room because it's sendable.
Oh, how do we let him know this is safe?
We'll say that you asked that before, Sylvia.
Yeah. Any particular phrase or anything?
Yes. She thinks and counts on her fingers for a moment. Okay. Code Orange Region Stay. Start with that. It's an identifier code that he should be able to recognize.
Okay.
I'm sorry, it will limit the number of syllables you have, but
Yeah, why are your codes so long for sending? It's so annoying.
you can just say Orange Region Stay.
I will do that. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay. Right. I'll have a go then.
Okay.
Orange, Regent's Day. Attempting rescue. Information needed. Location. Captor's intentions. How many have I done? I've done 10. Scried. What is sickness? My God, what else can I ask?
Does it affect the captures as well?
Are captors also sick?
Is this known to the Institute?
Sickness known to Institute? I'm trying to think of a way to word this. I have another question, but... Syria foul play?
Okay.
Good.
The bundle of spirits leaves. And a few moments later,
That's a lot of
you
questions.
get...
No, it's a good one.
Yep, you get your response. Aja Peteste. So going through these one by one. Mine unknown taken east. Achin raiders captured. Presumed ransom. Captors took belongings. Pause for a thought. Von sick. Left here. Spread. Personally fine. He knows you've scryed, so won't fill you in on the others. Sickness unknown. Or Syria unknown. And that's your 25.
I pass all of that on as ever.
Alright, so they were taken east. Let's
That's
get that map
really
over here
helpful.
again.
Okay, looking east, that trims your options. If it was straight dead east, as opposed to northeast, that would be either the Red Hills or Shatterback Reach. Yep. If it was to the northeast, it could be Montfort's Hill. So, depends how accurate the dead east is, but it seems to confirm some of what you already know.
Okay.
So the sickness doesn't seem intentional. That's the other thing we learned.
Right.
If the captors are sick, then either they had a serious accident with what they were trying to do to the people they captured and, infected themselves with it, or it's a completely unknown quantity.
Yeah, in any case, it does suggest that they're hiding rather than just stopping. Because think about it, if you've got a sickness on a ship, you don't go into a port.
No, you don't.
There's a pause while you think, and then a hurried knock on the door.
Hello?
Sylvia opens it.
Oh, hello.
Hello. We've managed to get someone from the town who is a retired miner.
Oh, wonderful. Thank
You'll
you.
need
Brilliant.
to speak them
Perfect.
outside at the gatehouse. You
All right.
hurry with them to speak with them. You find outside there is an elderly human man, wrinkled, balding black man, old labourer's clothes, kind of coughs a lot as he speaks, and you go. Heard some folks looking to know a bit about the mines in the area.
Yes.
Yeah.
The name's Joaquin Barnett, who used to work a few mines before I got the old miners long. Got pensioned
Pleased to
off.
meet you.
Pleased to meet you, small sir. Fine hat you got. Fine.
My name's Corzin.
Yes, good for you. Yes.
Hello.
What is it you want to know?
I'd like to describe the mine to this man and just see if he knows it.
Well, if it's nearby, it's two old mines that are no longer in operation. There's one at Montfort Hill, but that was a tin mine, dry about 3 years ago after the deposits all dried up. And then, of course, there's the iron mine at the Shatterback Reach. I used to work in that before they closed it up about 7 years ago now, on account of
What did you mine there?
unstable foundations.
Ah.
A lot of problems with cave-ins.
And iron would be red, yes.
That
Yeah.
would orange.
So you
Actually,
wanted to...
almost no iron in the Red Hills, despite the name.
Oh,
Well, not good, ore quality iron. A lot of
But it was an unstable mine, you say?
yeah. Long as I worked there, it was always the cave-ins, tremors. Long as we worked it, no history of quakes in the air around here, mind you. Just in that there mine. I always thought there was
Worrying.
something there.
like what?
I know. Scrabbling away in the dark. They say it was just my mind playing tricks on me.
Not necessarily. Lots of weird stuff happens.
You hear strange things down in the mines.
I'm sure
I
you
heard
do.
it was nudie women made of stone.
Moody women.
Either way, those nudie women, they got jealous of us taking that iron. And then there was the big collapse. Killed 30 miners. All got spooked. No one would go down there, face the nudie stone women, or the deep layers where the good iron was.
Well, there are nudie women. Let's get over to this mine. You know what I'm saying?
You are the
I'm
worst.
so sorry. I am the worst. Ignore me. That was bullshit.
Anyway,
Well,
company wound
if
the
you were
whole
to
operation
hold-
up.
If you had prisoners in that place and you didn't want them to escape, tying them to the beams that support the ceiling so they don't try too hard was not a
shit.
bad idea.
Plus, this
Yeah,
fat
this-
prisoners.
Don't worry. It's all good.
We're trying to find some friends of ours.
Oh, you're investigating those kidnappings then.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure some folk got taken on road.
Yeah, no nasty business. Hopefully we can fix it, though.
You will show those raiders what for,
Yeah. Did anyone get sick in the mines?
You're looking at it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't mean in that way. I mean, like,
It's all right.
like,
Young folk look like you ain't held a pick in your life.
I haven't.
You're one
I'm
of
afraid.
those drow taps, right?
Yes.
I ain't never seen one of you.
Oh well.
Guess
hello.
because of the hair.
We don't all have hair like this.
Yeah.
Be fun if we did, though.
Kind of weird, but looks good, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. No, I'm meaning more like throwing up blue stuff.
Blue stuff? Ain't never heard that.
No, fair enough. Thought it was worth asking.
Maybe they got in the habit of drinking ink.
That is a common habit that people have.
The accountants at the mining firms, they get so nervous they'd suck on their pens. Blue tongues.
Very true. It's a terrible habit. You shouldn't do it.
Yep.
Anyone think of anything else?
Sylvia tips him a few
How
silver
deep does it go?
coins.
Oh,
How
yeah,
deep
no, I
did the
wanted
mine
to
go?
give him some money, but I haven't done.
I'll give him a gold. He's cool.
Not a kind tippers. Sorry, a young halfling. What did you say your name was? Corzin?
Corzin.
Horson, yeah. So, Horson, what is it you wanted to know?
What's your name? That's what I want to know.
My name's Joaquin. Joaquin
Oh,
Barney.
you said. I'm sorry. Celestia Stardust. Nice to meet you.
All
Sorry,
right.
Corzin. Carry on.
Sorry,
How deep does the mine go?
Well, the old deep tunnels, they got caved in, so when we left, it was just the shallow ones. It's quite a nice little place to go in. There's a little natural grove. There's a big old valley in the middle of Shadowback Reach, all enclosed off from the outside. There's trees and stuff grows there. There's a little pond and stuff. We used to have there's an old little passage that we used to have to go in through to get between the rocks. Like it was wide open to the air, but if you didn't know the way in,
was
it'd be
gonna
really
say,
hard to
can
reach
you-
on foot.
Could you describe what this
yeah.
looked like?
Oh, I don't need to. You want to look. You got a pen or something?
Yep. We've got a notebook. Song notebook. Pastor.
Scratches what looks like an asterisk, but with one end has an arrow point. You look for that. We put miners' marks in the rocks nearby, and you follow those arrows. It'll take you right up to the right up to the passage.
That's very clever, thank you.
Brilliant. This could be invaluable.
I warn you, don't go manning, though. Those stone women, nudie stone women will get you.
We'll watch out for the nudie stoned women.
I never saw them, but I'm sure that's what it was.
It seems a logical conclusion.
We're going there for
Turns
people,
out to
not
be anything
lore.
else. I'm going to be so disappointed.
It'd be so sad if there aren't nudie stone women.
No nudie stone women. I'm going to be heartbroken.
Anyone else? Is
It's
anyone
also
else
the best
imagining
thing
weeping
if you haven't
angels?
seen anything to assume it is. like, I haven't seen anything, so it must be nudie stone women. There's nothing else this could be.
Nudie stone women, greedy for that Anne.
Seriously, though, is no one else imagining weeping angels?
Good luck to you.
Thank
you?
Thank you very much for your help.
Thank you very much. You take care of little Hoyce in there.
I will take care of little
Okay.
boys in. Now, before you go, would you like a wiener? You seem like the sort of person that should have one.
It's an interesting sausage. Take it. Spicy.
It's a Celestia sizzle.
Weird. And a strange texture. Curiously Moorish.
Well, I'm sure you'll get some wieners here at some point. They're exporting them these days, probably, maybe. I've actually no idea.
Well, I
Ask
gotta
for
get
more
back to
bristles.
clearing those fields and that rubble, so, you have good luck and don't get eaten by no nudie stone women.
We'll
We'll endeavour
do our
not
best.
to. Have a lovely day. Well, he was excellent. And now we know that it's nudie stone women that we're watching out for. So I'm glad that I've been warned, personally.
But I think we also know where we're going more. So maybe not more importantly, maybe equally importantly.
Indeed. It should take... It looks to be 40 miles away. It'll take us 4 hours by Phantom Steed. Mm-hmm. Are you ready to head out immediately?
Little Hoisin, are you ready?
Ready as I'll ever be.
All right. Lady Grace nods to Sylvia. Thank you. Not a problem. Good luck. Please bring them back. Captain North is a friend of mine.
We'll do our very best.
We will keep the lights on, as it were.
Thank you.
You conjure up horses, or deploy, or possibly you walk a little way away, then conjure up horses and deploy your spectral dog. Saddle up and begin to ride hard for Shatterback Reach. And we'll pick up on that journey next time. Thank you all very much for playing. Thank you all very much for listening. And farewell from all of us here at Flintlocks and Fireballs. Fair seas and a natural 20s. There's fine folk in that institute. That chocolate fountain, she's a beaut. But there's danger that awaits you when in the mine of nudie stone women.
So gather your muskets, gather your spears, we'll plunder the shores of Calcinea. No kraken, storm or spell we fear, so come and sail with us, my dear.